Hello and welcome to the Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship here at MotorMotion E-Series, and we return to what is going to be a fantastic final round of the 10-week series, round 10, to round out not only our Drivers' Championships, but our team's title as well. It's the Monadnock, the 174-meter rise to glory at the final part of this season that we've been waiting for so long. And of course, it is Mount Panorama, Bathurst, for this round. It's going to be an exciting race to finish off Season 3. Welcome in to everyone in chat. Of course, Player1 Sim Gear, primary sponsor of the season. Check them out on p1simgear.com.au. Broadcasting brought to you by TrackSpot TV. Check us out on www.trackspot.tv. And of course, MotorMotion E-Series. Go and check them out on their website, www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. And check out the Facebook for all your updates, and Discord as well, jumping into that arena. Let's have a look at the calendar, because 9 rounds are behind us, the 10th round ahead of us. We started this season at Monza, we headed to Le Mans, we went to Brands Hatch, to Nürburgring GP, and then to Spa, and then we headed over to the Americas for Interlagos, Watkins Glen, Daytona, and of course over to the South Pacific now, or the Pacific I should say, really, for round 9. Autopolis was last round, and it was a crazy place to go racing. Some serious results earned at that round, and it has set us up beautifully for what's going to be the season finale here at Mount Panorama, a fantastic place to go racing. And it's going to be the soft tire mandatory for today's race, 50 minutes at sunrise, so the lights will be on, not on the track, but they'll be on the cars, that is for sure. And tires, of course, will be an important consideration for the drivers today. The softs being mandatory, most of them will be getting that out of the way early on in this race in an attempt to get some positions early on. The weather looking okay out there in Bathurst today, in amongst the flats and the small Monadnock that we've got, the hill that we're going to be rising and falling over and hopefully not crashing into. CS01, the dry, cloudy and sunny, ×1 variable time and sunrise, of course. So a very interesting weather setup today. Tire temperatures are going to be incredibly important. Bringing you today's broadcasting, my name is George Cook, and I'm going to be joined in the commentary box today by John Wright. Welcome in, John. Great to have you here for the season finale. You've been behind the tools. You've been let out of jail once again. Don't know what we're doing, but here you are, and it's great to have you here.
It is indeed. It is great to be here. As George says, we're here for Bathurst. The rise to glory up 174 metres, or a fall from grace. Yeah, it could absolutely go either way. A fall from grace, much like George had when I managed to find the spare key for the basement to get myself back out. Wouldn't be any place else for the season finale. 10 phenomenal rounds under our belts in Bathurst. To bring it home. Need we say more, George? It seems the spiritual home of Australian racing. It seems only right that the season finishes here, and it promises to be a season finale. Let's bring on Group B. Can we go there first, please?
We'll get there eventually. Both Group A and Group B coverage for your viewing pleasure today, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, give us any questions in chat. We've got some statements as well from our glorious race administrators. That'll be had later on in the broadcast. And after each race, we'll bring you their final standings for the Drivers' Championship with the team's title, final standings at the end of the race. The battles that we're interested in the team's title, Mad Turtle versus Hooncorp Esports. They are not separated by very many points at all. And if Hooncorp can have one of those days, which they've had in the past, namely Autopolis and a number of other tracks, they can do that. And if Mad Turtle have a bad day, Hooncorp will be taking home the team's title. The opposite can also happen. Mad Turtle can totally win this round with another consistent result. They don't necessarily need to completely win every single category, but they need to be up there in the top 3. So that's our team's title battle. Very important. Elite title, Gopin Mahindajit has won the elite category, so he is completely secure on that. Matt McCullum versus Glenn Mead in the pro title is another battle we're keeping a very, very close eye on. If Glenn Mead's able to get a really good result, and if Matt McCullum makes even a single fall from grace, he will be in trouble for that pro title. Then Hasel1 versus Marcel Albertin, going to be a very, very close one. Joe Rudinsky in the mix with that as well. He's not been able to attend a couple of the last races, so we're hoping that he's back on track today for the Pro-Am title, and he has got Marcel Albertin and Mark Hasel1 ahead of him on points, so he's got to have a mega day out there on the track for the Pro-Am title. In the AM class, Jack Finch is all but set to win AM class, but Chip Berry is right there as well. So again, another one that's come down to the wire. So 3 drivers' championships to be decided today. One's team's title to be decided today. It's Mad Turtle versus Hooncorp. In a lot of this, Hooncorp with Jack Finch in the AM title, Hasel1 with Hasel1 Motorsport, potentially winning a driver's championship today if they can get that car further up the grid than it has been in Pro-Am title. So the Group B race will be very interesting to watch today. And CP Motorsports with Matt McCullum. He's on a charge. Can he continue it today? That is the question. I think we're pretty much ready to go to our our qualifying is finished, so we're nearly ready to go to the race. Bit of brief news, though, before we jump into Group A. Unfortunately, Gopi Mahindajit has not been able to make it to the grid. So he has won the elite title. Unfortunately, his car was not able to get to the grid today. So that's some, unfortunately, very needed points for Gridline Racing that won't be available today at Bathurst. A real shame not to see him fighting it out with Guy Barbara today. So let's see what happens out on track. John, I think it's time for us to head onto the grid. Well, here we are, and the qualifying order is Guy Barbara from Ando, from Nick Pfaff, from Luke Stone. Very important day for him. Can he do enough to get himself back into contention for a top 3? We're away. We're racing. It's the final round, the final 50 minutes of Group A happening before your eyes. There's the ONC outplayed ex-Hooncorp car leading us through Hell Corner for the first time, followed by Ando, followed by Nick Pfaff. Matt McCullum's got a decent getaway. Then it's going to be Joinson, Scotty, Glenn Mead down in 9th position, not where he needs to be in this race. Black Rose Racing in the Porsche, holding out 11th place. Michael Brill in 12th, and then there's Chris Farapapa, who very kindly reached out. He was very happy to get a Driver of the Day nomination at Autopolis. What a drive from the Lightning Motorsports guys at round 9. Can they replicate that today? Up the hill we go for the first time. Nick Pfaff looking strong, but Luke Stone putting a lot of pressure on him early on. Remember, all of these drivers here are aficionados of this track. They all know it incredibly well, and this is going to be a key time for them to really exercise their legs, show us what they're made of as we head up the hill and down into Frog Hollow for the first time. Nick Pautasso holding on to 6th place. This is key for him. He needs to be as close to Guy Barber at the end of this race as possible. Hooncorp versus Mad Turtle Racing, and Hooncorp looking to get as many points on top of Mad Turtle Racing as humanly possible today. Guy Barber is certainly going to be exercising his skills today to secure that first place. Down the dipper we go for the first time at sunrise. Lovely scenes around Bathurst, and you can see how quickly they head into the lower section before the braking zone of Forest Elbow. Maximum attention at this point for all the drivers, and Matt McCullum off to a great start in 5th place. He's just behind his nearest competitor, Luke Stone, ahead of him for Hooncorp. Right, so we'll continue. We've got a little bit of an audio issue in the background. No worries at all. Into the chase, and that's a decent line there for Guy Barbara. He's so confident in that Supra. Ando not letting him get away, though, at the moment. So this could be a chance for Hasel1 Motorsport to get some points back in the team's title, and Ando might find himself getting a little bit further up towards Nick Pfaff, who's holding on to third place in the team's title at the moment, because Ando's had a very mixed season, unfortunately. That has been a result of his schedule of flying and in amongst of a few other things as well. Maybe, I don't want to say necessarily a strategy blunder or two, but certainly some things have not worked out the way that his supercomputer has indicated. Medium tires seem to be the optional choice initially. Guy Barbara sets Sector 1 purple, so he's already absolutely flying on these medium tires. Probably a sensible choice. The medium tires should fire up quite nicely in these early parts of the morning, where with the colder temperatures, you might find yourself eating through the soft grip just a little bit more than you were expecting. And it's through and up the hill we go, in towards Quarry and the cutting. Great part of the circuit. The cars are going to be struggling a little bit with that initial grip. Nick Pautasso, no, that is Glenn Mead, slightly missing the apex there up the hill, but he's on the racing soft tires, so keep an eye. A lot of the drivers choosing the racing mediums. I think that's probably the sensible thing to do. Glenn Mead hasn't really made the progress that he needs to on the racing soft tires, and now on board with Spark.
Indeed, yeah, down at the back of the grid at the minute. He's sitting in 11th position. Another driver that's taken to the medium tyres, as George said, a good mix between the soft and the mediums, with the soft being the mandatory. So we know where Spark and the gang are going to go when they come into the pits. It'll be interesting for me to see if anybody decides to go for 2 stints on the soft and 1 shorter stint on the medium, or potentially just try and do a 1 stop on softs. It will be a fair bit of tyre saving that will need to be introduced for that strategy to be pulled off, but I think it's one we are certainly likely to be looking at, George, potentially. But then, yeah, what do I know? I hide behind the microphone and judge others, so
well, it's exactly my argument as well. That's why we usually have Nick and Ando in the commentary box to tell us, because they're both racing in this league, and in fact in this race, and are not able to get onto the commentary box for this final race. But we have typically seen some people opt for the 1 stop, but most of them seem to be on that 2-stop strategy. It seems to be the sensible one. A lot of this is constrained by fuel more than the tires, but the 2 stints on softs, obviously you're going to have a little bit more there on the pace. That's going to be important. The more grip you have, the safer you are around the hill. We're looking at Matt McCullum on the rear end of Nick Pfaff there, so he might be pulling a move. Potentially we'll get some onboard shots from the Mercedes of Nick Pautasso, just flicking through a few things there. Matt McCullum not able to make the move happen at Griffin's Bend. And Joyson actually in this as well. Looks like the RCZs are coming alive a little bit, noting that Matt McCullum is also on the soft tire, so is Joyson. So no real surprise that they're catching up. Look at the difference in the language of the car through and up the cutting. Totally different grip geometry.
yeah, it is. It's absolutely wild the way the different cars balance themselves through different parts of the track. Well, the RCZ does look very quick, and that Mercedes absolutely floundering through the parks, and it is no picnic in the park for the Americans. It's Nick Pautasso under horrendous amounts of pressure down the hill there. Johnson is going to be have to be very good on the brakes to stop himself going at the back of the car, but certainly Nick Pautasso might have the white flag waving here as Johnson chases him down the hill. We've already seen the RCZ do good things up in the top 5. It looks like Johnson looking to get a bit closer to the top 5 at the expense of Pautasso, but it does look like Pautasso, yeah, the long legs of the Mercedes on the Conrod Straight, George, are going to be his saviour. He cannot make that mistake too many times in front of Johnson in the RCZ, because as much as the Mercedes has got the straight line speed, the RCZ does close up as soon as you get to the chase chicane, and it's going to be an interesting lap. He's going for it the inside. No, he's not. It's very close between these two, George.
Oh, the psychological battle has begun. But noting as well, not only is Nick Pautasso on the medium tire, he's also picked up damage somewhere. I think he might have slammed into a wall at Frog Park, or Frog Hollow, or potentially Silman Park. That may be why he got so loose at that section of track. But luckily for him, Johnson's had a horrible run through Murray's Corner, I should say. So he has put himself out of contention for an immediate attack, which is good news for Nick Pautasso, who's now nursing that damage. Really awkward time for him. We're looking on board at Nick Pfaff, and up the mountain straight we go. This is where things get really crazy. Nice little sector time there for Nick Pfaff. Will he pull to the outside? There's no grip there, though. Be very careful. As we all say, it's just, you know, it's so easy to think that you're in the position to go for an overtake around the outside at Griffin's, but it's just not. There's no grip there. Oh, bit of contact between Pfaff and Luke Stone, and Luke Stone has ended up in the wall with probably a little bit of damage. Yes, he does. So a tiny touch on the rear quarter of Luke Stone's car by Nick Pfaff has dropped him a position. He's gone straight into the wall on the outside of the cutting.
He has, yeah, that damage is going to be hugely detrimental, especially when McCullum behind him is on soft tyres. So not only is Stone on mediums, he is on carrying damage as well on that front right suspension and brake assembly, and that is going to cost them hugely. And I tell you what, never mind just McCallum on the softs. We've got Nick Pautasso, who is carrying damage as well, but he is absolutely giving McCallum a run for his money here, and he's keeping Joynson in a good spot behind him as well. We'll see what the Conrod slipstream does for the 3-4 cars that we're looking at here. In fact, Nick Pfaff in the RCZ, he's got himself a decent bit of a gap over Luke Stone. The Stone in the, is that a Supra? Yes, it was. It went flying past up the inside line. I think the RCZ left the handbrake on there on the Conrod straight, although the more nimble car looking for a move through the chase. Oh, Nick Pautasso finding the out. Yeah, he just stuck the back end of the Mercedes completely out, almost at a 45-degree angle there. Manages to gather it back up to fend off Joynson. It's all
contact.
Pautasso's run deep. Oh, contact.
Yeah, well, he's had contact. Joynson has hit him. He's gone deep at Murray's Bend, and now Gridline Racing Scotty's just like, thank you very much. I'll take my 2-for-1 deal for free. Great. I'll just walk out of the store. Pautasso runs wide again. So the Racing Soft tyres for Gridline Racing Scott Taylor has enabled him to get past both, and it's all kicked off at Murray's corner when Joynson tapped the rear end of Pautasso. It's not a corner you can dive down the inside. Joynson should know that. And there was probably a little bit of a gap given, but you do that just to open up because it's a late apex corner. So Pautasso's going to be fuming. He's got damage. He's lost a position to his good friend Scott Taylor, and Joynson has been tapping him over and over through this course because of the pace that he's got on the soft tyres. So all sorts of action happening here. Also note as well for Luke Stone, great overtake there on Nick Pfaff. He had a great run through Forest Elbow. I don't know if Nick Pfaff just had a bad one or not, but damage on the medium tyre, and he's just driven straight past Nick Pfaff's RCZ. So go the Supra. It is absolutely flying at the moment. I thought it was going to turn into a similar situation that Luke Stone's been in all season long. And I remember back to Le Mans when we had Troy Britnell had an issue coming into the first corner after the first straight on the first lap, slammed into Luke Stone and sent them both flying directly forward into the main barriers. They both completely missed the brake, and it was all downhill at that point. And unfortunately, he has not swung the favor back in his direction. A 1-second slowdown penalty. He'll have to serve it right now. Does luckily get ghosted there, but he's going to lose a bunch of positions as a result. Now back into the grips of Scott Taylor. So that's really bad for Luke Stone because he's going to get overtaken here as well. And that is 2 pro competitors going past Luke Stone. Matt McCullum now in the lead of the pro category. That's where he needs to be to win the title. And so for Scott Taylor and for Luke Stone, they're looking at that going, oh no, we've just released a monster.
Indeed, and there is about to be a re-release of the monster. Luke Stone, he's having none of it. 1-second penalty. No, thank you very much. I will retake one of those positions. I did think Nick Pautasso was about to get involved in this battle as well, but despite the penalty, Stone has got himself back ahead of Scotty. Scotty yo-yoing up and down. It's like a game of tennis watching his positions go up and down the order at the minute. There he is in 6th with Pautasso and 7th in Joynson. Still in 8th place. Glenn Mead is a bit down the road still. We did get a quick look actually, quick reminder. Guy Barbara and Ando are still in this race. They're just very far up at the front, so we'll keep watching the overtaking. But Barbara and Ando, Ando's on the soft tyres. He's starting to run through them, and Barbara is running away with it on the mediums. So it bodes well for him coming back out on the softs. But certainly, I'm not sure who it bodes well for here in the middle of this pack. We've got Stone, Pautasso carrying damage. We've got Warren soft tyres. We've got Nick Pfaff on the freshish mediums. He's now fully trying to separate himself from this group. George and McCallum at the front, soft tyres, no damage, and then he is followed by a couple of drivers with damage or worn tyres. It is all kinds of chaos as Nick Pautasso is eyeing up a move on Johnson now.
Oh, here we go. And in synchronized swimming style, both the Mercedes going slightly sideways through the dipper. It's just the nature of the FR cars. They're so unstable as the track drops away from them. They get the power down. Lots of weight, of course, to the front of the car, and the rear end doesn't usually want to play ball. But it's interesting. We are at that point now where the racing soft tires are worn enough that even with damage, the racing mediums are equal pace, if not faster. So we are at that crossover threshold as well. And I think this is the tricky thing for the drivers, John. And to your point earlier with the two-stop, if you are going to be two-stopping on the soft tires, you're going to have to make it count because the crossover is only about 6 laps long.
Yeah, it's going to be a finite margin. I think it's going to be one of those. I do wonder if drivers like Nick Pautasso might come in a bit earlier than he was planning because he's carrying this damage. That could be something which could expedite a driver's thought process towards going for a two-stopper. But although that would naturally be in the thought process anyway, because this is Bathurst, and Bathurst bites hard. It's full 2 rows of sharp teeth. It's there's great whites lurking
everywhere, at every single corner, in fact. And I think if I hear 1984 had the highest DNF rate in Bathurst history, over 60% of the field. I think, honestly, if we looked at the stats again, you'd still find that there's a non-trivial percentage of the drivers have accidents at Bathurst. It's just the way the track is. It takes such full confidence, and that's why, when we're watching Guy Barbara execute his race strategy today and take fastest laps on these medium tires, in amongst a field of others who are, invariably on soft tires as well, it shows the level of precision that you need at a circuit like this. And I expect that we'll probably see at least one large crash at some point. The 2 battle packs starting to evolve quite naturally, really. You got the top lead pack and then you got a bottom pack. I'm not sure who's leading that one, but we will see in due course. But you can see this in terms of the tires. You can see what's happening between Pfaff on the mediums and Matt McCullum on the soft tires, and the crossover is definitely happening because Matt McCullum is no slouch. He's got a lot of pace in that car, in that Ferrari, but he is starting to fall right off. Here's Michael Brill in the Lightning Motorsports. He's the one leading the second pack here. So Glenn Mead luckily still holding onto the top pack, and he'll be trying to chase after. In fact, he has overtaken Jointson, so there's an overtake happening for 9th place at the moment. Airborne in 11th as well, so he's going to be trying to chase them down. So nice overtake on the exit of Forest Elby by all accounts by Glenn Mead, and he does that over Jointson, critical for his chances in the pro category. But Glenn Mead today, he's been a consistent runner all the way through, has had consistent results, but today consistency is not enough. He has to win the pro category to be in a shot for the driver's title in pro for today. He cannot be sitting and accepting 3rd place. He's going to have to get his foot down and maybe just be a little bit more aggressive. We saw a little bit of that at Autopolis with his aggressive nature, sort of fighting a couple of drivers, and ironically it was actually Matthew Jointson who he was battling with there. So maybe there's a bit of unfinished business between these 2 drivers. Certainly Jointson won't be keeping the elbows out of Dodge if he's got an opportunity. Will he set it to the inside? No, he is going to continue up the hill this time. I thought he was going to go for it.
Yeah, it certainly looked like he was primely positioned to take on that little challenge there, but the shark swims off up the hill, chasing his damaged teammate here. It'll be interesting to see if Nick Pautasso is going to throw himself on a grenade, lay across the barbed wire for his teammate here to help him in his chances of getting the Drivers' Championship that he is after. He's got Scotty just ahead of him, and it just goes to show you actually the pace that Pautasso's got. He's on medium tyres in a damaged car. Oh, indeed.
Oh, that was Nick Pautasso.
Touch of the wall.
Yeah, well, he's ran very deep, just coming towards the Skyline corner, and had a snap in both directions. Managed to collect the car somehow, because usually at that point, if you're off in the gravel, you got half the car on the gravel, half the car on the tarmac. You're going for a spin, and Pautasso is struggling now on these medium tires with that damage.
Yeah, he really is. The instability in the car is absolutely starting to show through, and he's got Brucey just behind him, and Johnson carrying damage as well. So more damage throughout the field still. Let me see the rest of the field. We'll have a quick check. Yeah, Airborne, he's carrying damage as well. And I think Motorsport is about to get himself a very easy overtake. As we see Ando coming into the pits after 8 laps. We see an overtake from the Honda of Motorsport. Goes past Airborne, who's damaged, but that's Ando into the pits, surely going for a 2-stop, as we see McCallum and Scotty coming in as well.
Yep, I think we're at that crossover period. I mean, the racing softs at this point, you're doing really bad lap times out there. The grip is completely gone. The car's going to start to squirrel around underneath you. So you need to make sure that you've got enough grip. And right now, 8 laps, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. We've seen people take the softs to lap 10, lap 11. So this is a very short stint here for the soft tires. Now, if we double the amount of time we've been out there, call it 24 minutes, they can make it to half race distance with 2 soft tires. So that's what they're going to be thinking. Ando filters out behind Chris Varepapa, not where he wants to be because he's well into the traffic of the back markers, and he's going to have to make a lot of overtakes in quick succession and probably take some opportunities. He's going to use the opportunity here at the cutting. Can he do it? No, he can't. This is a disaster for him because he needs to be using the soft tire to keep up with those ahead and keep himself from being undercut, which is entirely coming into the range of possibility now. And he's stuck throughout the entire mountain run. This is the real difficult part of strategy at Bathurst, John. It's where you come out on the field. If you get stuck behind slower cars, there is nothing you can do all the way through the rise and the fall of the mountain.
Yeah, track position is absolutely key. Location, 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 and your location on the track compared to everyone else, absolutely vital. And this is, as you say, George, it is a complete disaster to come out the pits in amongst cars that are still ahead of you. They haven't pitted yet. They're on a different strategy, so they're not in the same race as you, but they're not fully obliged to move over. It's not a blue flag situation, and Ando has just cost himself, or he's just been cost quite some time in the chase that he was having with Barbara, and he absolutely knows that. He's got Spark ahead of him on the mediums. He's going to catch up there pretty quickly. We're praying the Spark was in the pits. You can see the pace difference between the two of them, though. He's already all over the back of the Porsche, so he's going to get that overtake done pretty quickly, you would think. It's going to need to be a lot quicker than the one on Motorsport. There was more drivers. That is Motorsport. Oh yeah, Scotty came out of the pit as well. He's come out on the soft tyres. So too has McCallum. Now McCallum started on softs.
He did, and
so
I think Scotty did as well. I think all the drivers we've seen so far have been originally on the soft tyre, but I think critically, Matt McCallum has lost a position in the pits to Scott Taylor. Big accident from Joynson at Forest Elbow and a 4-second time penalty as well. He's had a shocker. Look at the damage on the front of that car, and he's just come out on fresh mediums. This couldn't have been worse timing for him to make a mistake. Cold tyres, fresh tyres. Oh, 4 seconds. This is so painful to watch. He's down at 50 miles per hour. That is an absolute shocker for Joynson, and any hope he had of being up the top of the pro category today has just been eliminated before our eyes.
Yeah, the RCZ has, Forest Elbow. It should be called Hell's Corner. I've been campaigning for that for quite some time, and we are finding out exactly why. It is hellish if you get that wrong in more ways than one. Even if you don't make contact with the wall, and you have a hellish exit, you still lose a lot of time in. Honour is the best part of Valor. He's going to come in and get that fixed. Too long in the race left, John. You would just absolutely kill yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he would have just been overlapped by the leader as well. That would have probably taken at least a few more laps. And Kai Barbara just on the limit of grip, as always. My campaign is to have it renamed the Devil's Elbow. That's why I think it should be called the Devil's Elbow. I think that would be pretty good, but we'll have to combine our efforts, John. Maybe together we can get something across the line with the mayor of Bathurst, the current mayor of Bathurst, whoever that currently is. Of course, used to be Mayor Griffin, hence why Griffin's Bend is called Griffin's Bend. What a genius. Nice. Best abuse of political power ever. I think he commissioned a race course. The council said, no, we don't want to do that. So then he commissioned a panoramic drive instead that just happened to be a race course. Amazing.
Yeah, that is the absolute way to do it. A panoramic drive that just happens. Yeah, it is a very panoramic drive, I'm sure. I've seen the side of it at some point in time. There is Bruce the Shark, Glenn Mead. He's coming in to the pits along with Motorsport in the Honda. They'll shed their soft tyres and get back out, but it is going to be behind Dubzetto, who's moved himself up to 10th. McCullum has lost the position, as you say, and he finds himself another one caught in the track position. He has got Airborne, who's running a long first stint. He's getting the most out of his medium tyre, so he's going for a one-stop strategy, I would say. If you've got this far, especially carrying damage and you're staying out on the mediums, he's going for a long first stint and a short, sharp shock on the softs. And certainly no pace compared to the cars around him. Dubzetto is closing in. Airborne in for a bit of a tough stint until he gets into the pits to get that repaired. No one up in the top 5 or 6 with any repairs being done apart from Pautasso and Stone up in 3rd and 4th. Nick Pfaff currently in 2nd, George. Ando, though, the big loser in the opening pit strategy with coming back out of the pits. He's in no man's land at the minute with 2 cars ahead of them that still do need to pit, but this is not where he envisaged being when the supercomputer ran the strategy for him.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think he's opted for the softs early to try and maybe get the jump on Guy Barber and hinder Guy Barber's strategy, or certainly keep himself out of the clutches of Nick Pfaff and out of the fray that happened. He certainly achieved that, but maybe a little bit of a miscalculation in terms of where he'd spit himself out in the pits. If you're pitting that early on only lap 8, yeah, you're going to find yourself in traffic because not enough people have been slow enough on track to really make that viable. So he's definitely lost some time. We'll see exactly how much time he's lost once Guy Barber and the medium runners make their stop. But today, honestly, I'm looking at this, I'm going, no, there's no way a one-stop's going to work. So if that's what the Porsches are thinking right now, to do some sort of one-stop, I don't think it's going to work out. I mean, the medium tires will probably take you through to the point where you can switch onto the softs, but your fuel's going to run out if you're not massively saving. So I get the feeling everyone's on a two-stop today. I'd be very surprised if we saw anyone attempt a one-stop, and that means we're about 7 minutes away from seeing some of the rest of the pit stops. Little touch of the wall there for Guy Barber, an uncharacteristic mistake from him, but he's so on the bleeding edge of grip through every single corner. And just keep an eye on how he's braking through this. Lots of trail braking. He's not forcing the car to slow down and making sure he's not locking these brakes as well. So this is extremely skilled driving we're seeing, as we expect, from Guy Barber. And he is set to potentially take second in the overall elite category. I don't think any of his other elite category drivers can match that, and he's only been in the season for about 6 races, so he's managed to get himself to second in the elite category comfortably with only half of the season, or just above half of the season to his name. So we know, of course, how quick Guy Barber is. Great to see him in the series. His times are starting to drop off, though. As you can see, 2:04 last lap, maybe a little bit of a mistake there, and he's got a couple more laps to do, I think, on the level of fuel and the medium. So he'll be wanting to pit probably around the 28-minute mark at the absolute latest. Ando still trying to make some progress in the field, and Nick Pautasso actually being now chased down. So this will be an easy one in terms of the overtake if Ando is able to catch up with Nick Pautasso. We are on lap 12, coming up towards half race distance. In fact, we are at half race distance now for the final race of Group A in the MotorMotion E-Series Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship. It is Guy Barber from Pfaff, from Luke Stone, Hooncorp Esports, trying to have a good day today. They need to finish with all cars ahead of their Mad Turtle counterparts, preferably by a couple of positions, in order to take the team's title. So Hooncorp, it could be their day today in a number of ways, but they've got a man out on track right now, Luke Stone, who is currently provisionally in lead of the pro category, but he's been holding damage on the medium tire, and he's got 2 very quick running cars challenging him for the pro category win today. Scott Taylor in 6th and Matt McCullum in 7th, which is something we jumped on briefly, but Matt McCullum was leading the pro standings, but somehow Scott Taylor, I think he may have underfueled the car or gone for a shorter stint. We're not 100% sure, but Scott Taylor was a few positions behind Matt McCullum. So Matt McCullum has ended up in the pits for a lot longer. He has got a little bit more fuel on board. That could potentially account for the difference. But this is technically what we're looking at for the lead of the Pro category today at Bathurst. It should really be one of these two going for the win. But Matt McCullum, critical for him. As long as he finishes up above Glenn Mead, he is going to secure himself the Pro title today.
Yeah, it is looking that way at the moment. An interesting turnaround, but as we were saying, it's a two-stop strategy that the drivers are going to be going for. So, will we see another turnaround in the next pit stop? Certainly the two of them are getting close at the moment, Scotty and McCallum, and they are keeping it a bit spicy up at the front, but it's all about, at the moment, of course, where the two damaged drivers ahead. And I tell you what, Nick Bautasso, talking about maximising your opening stint. Look at the fuel in that car, or distinct lack of fuel in that car. There is going to be one petroleum left. He has a little bit of a wiggle there. Does he even have enough to get himself into his pit box? It's just as well they're all guided past a certain point there into the double chicane. There goes Ando back up. He'll retake third place because Luke Stone has, of course, come in as well, George. So where is... Wow, Scotty's already round the last corner. Damaged car with medium tyres wasn't the way to go, George. It's safe to say, because that's Scotty and McCallum that have absolutely filed through, and Stone and Picasso are dead still in the pit stops.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, when you start on the mediums, you lock yourself into that strategy order. You've got no choice. You have to keep extending. Whereas if you start on the softs and you get some damage, well, you've got the option to pit earlier, get yourself back out on track. So you're losing less time. You've got more options if you go with the softs first, because you can switch onto a medium stint in the middle, or you can switch back onto the softs to go to half distance and then do the final stint on mediums. So I think these guys who have run the mediums and picked up damage have kind of locked themselves into their own jail, unfortunately, on this one. That's certainly the case for Luke Stone, who's going to be losing so many positions. He will be quick at the end, bear in mind. So he'll be on the softs all the way to the end, whereas these guys will be switching onto the medium tires at some point in the next couple of laps. So that's the key thing to note. He's on the racing soft tires now. He will be for the last stint as well. So he has got the opportunity to be quick, but you can see here, this is actually the championship pro battle we're seeing on screen now, except in reverse order. Well, not in reverse order, sorry, it's not. Matt McCullum, of course, is leading the championship here, but this is formally, this is what we saw in the early parts of the season. It was Glenn Mead versus Luke Stone. Of course, here, Glenn Mead will be getting overtaken in short order. Can Luke Stone do that cleanly? That is the question, because you can see how much quicker he is over the hill at the moment than the Mercedes on the medium tires. So he will be overtaken, I'm sure, at some point very, very soon. But these two had been locked in a battle up until about race 6, I believe it was. And then, of course, Matt McCullum just started what was a wild charge to the front of the field. Guy Barbara into the pits with 1 litre on board, and he'll be switching now to his soft strategy. So expect him to disappear into the sunset, quite literally, or the sunrise, I should say, quite literally. Those 203s that he's been setting, not fast at all compared to his pace on the soft tyres. Ando will go on through, well, with a little bit of a mistake at Hell Corner, but he will go on through on a slightly alternating strategy here, though, from Guy Barbara. So he will inherit the lead of this race temporarily, and that is something that he'll have to watch in the last part of this race, because he's done his 2 soft stints, and the next stint will be on the racing medium tyre. So he's all about trying to build that pace. His personal best, a 203.3, still 0.08 of a second slower than Guy Barbara's fastest on the medium tyre, and Ando's been on the softs all the way from the start. So what can Guy Barbara do on the softs? I think everyone knows the answer to that one.
Yes, go very fast. And bring home another race win. Yeah, quite frankly. Not to put too fine a point on it, Your Honour, he is guilty as charged. Absolute alien DNA coursing through his veins, and yeah, all of it is geared towards racing. Comes back out in second place, so Ando, it just goes to show, if he'd have come out ahead of that traffic, he would have had a much more significant gap at this point to play with. As it is, he's used a lot of his soft tyres. He's going to be back in soon for a fresh set and a bit more fuel, whereas Guy, he's probably good to the end. That is the level of talent he's got in this thing. Maybe a quick splash and dash. I mean, he's taking on that much fuel. Yeah, I think he's going to make it to the end. Scotty in 4th, and McCallum It's still just behind them there in 5th position. And then just behind Dubzetto, down in 9th place, Luke Stone. And with Nick Patasso, sorry, George, down in 11th place after that damage. Again, the medium tyres and a damaged car really does play havoc long term with your race, and Nick Patasso and Luke Stone certainly finding that one out the hard way today.
Certainly are, yeah. And depending on the damage, we know that it was front right damage and front splitter damage, so it could have been upwards of 8 or 9 seconds that he had to sit in the pits extra, which is so painful as a driver. You know how much time that costs you out on track, and it's not just 7 or 8 seconds. You're sitting still relative to the field. You can call that basically 15 or 16 seconds at this point. It is one of the most painful things to sit through, and inevitable. If you've run wide and you've hit the barrier, you know exactly what's coming. You're going to be slow on track. You're not going to have the grip. We saw that with Nick Patasso. He'll be fuming with this. He's been unable to race in the last couple of rounds as a result of moving house. He's now upgraded to a PlayStation 5. It's been his birthday recently as well. It's all been on and up. And then to have a race like this at the finale where he's been expecting to do very, very well, honestly, it'll be disappointing for him. But he's a man with a PlayStation 5 now. And I think for those who know, he's been on a PlayStation 4 for better part of a decade. So he's a very happy man. Let's just put it that way, regardless of the race result. Having him on a PlayStation 5, he'll be absolutely stoked. And there was, in his Discord that he runs for Track Stars, there was a monumental round of applause when he announced that he had a PS5 at long last. So we're happy for Nick, of course, and we'll see what kind of race result he can pull back. He's on the soft, so he'll be fast at the end of the race. We know he's an extremely quick driver. We know he's a competent overtaker, and that's what he's got to do. He's got to exercise his advantages today to crawl himself back up towards this top 5, a lot of which will be pitting to go onto the medium tyre at the end of this race. So he's got plenty of opportunities. Nick Pfaff on the racing soft tyres, fresh as can be. Behind now, Matt McCullum and Scotty. That's to be expected because Pfaff was the longest runner out there on the medium tyre. He is going to be trying, I'm assuming, a similar strategy to Guy Barbara with a sort of splash and, well, not even a splash and dash, because I don't think, as you said, John, I don't think they're going to need more fuel in the car for the end of this race. It's just whether the tyres can last to the end. This is the only possible way I could see a single stop working, is if Guy Barbara can nurse these tyres to the end, but he's just set 2:01, an invalid, admittedly. Oh no, it's actually come out of that as valid. The timing tower, the race time, or the lap time timer on the right-hand side is often rather inaccurate. That is a 2:01.9. Wow.
Crazy. From the 203 straight into the 201s as soon as he comes out on the soft tyres. Here's the rest of the runners all coming in. Now, is it going to be once bitten, twice shy? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Sorry, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Ando, is he going to come out behind the traffic? He is indeed. Luke Stone has got through, so he's come out the pits again on his second stop, and all a knock-on effect from coming out in the traffic in the first stop. If he doesn't come out in traffic in the first stop, there's no way he comes out here for the second stop. He now finds himself on a brand new fresh set of soft tyres, ready to run his race to the end. He's got Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff in front of him. More importantly, he's got Nick Stone directly in front of him. He can tell which radio station is on the dashboard in the Supra ahead of him. He is that close coming out, George. And that is the type of deja vu. That's the type of consistency you do not want in a race. That has really blown his pit strategy right out the window, and it's been a costly one. I think there may be sledgehammers taken to the supercomputer, because Ando has been thrown under the bus by the strategist on this one, I think.
Yeah, time to upgrade the firmware, I think, or maybe reprogram it from scratch and just start afresh for 2026. But Hasel1 Motorsport, they have not had the season they wanted to. They've been former champions in the GT3 championship in years past with some seriously strong offerings. I mean, all the other teams this year have provided some incredible races in their teams, especially in the elite category. Some really incredible names joining the field. So Hasel1 just haven't had what it's taken, unfortunately, this year to really put themselves up for title contention. So a shame for them, for sure. But, you know, with this, the problem with strategy is that you can predict all you want. You can optimize as much as you want. But if it doesn't sync up with what everyone else is doing, And you can't predict that. You can't predict what the other 15 cars on the grid are going to do and how that's going to affect your strategy. That's the problem with strategy making. It's why a flexible option is usually the best. Starting on the medium tires is usually, well, if you lock yourself into any particular strategy, you're completely at the whim of everyone else's strategy. But if you've got options, you can adjust, you can change, you can modify. And I think, Ando is aware of that. He's well aware of that. This time it's just, oh my goodness, Nick Bautasso. Wow. Be careful. That's hell corner for you right there. That's an FR car. You can tell you didn't even need to look at the car to tell that was a Mercedes doing that. With a personal best of a 203.3, but certainly for Ando, he's such a clever man with the strategy today. It hasn't worked out from Glenn Mead. Oh no.
He's absolutely flopping around the track, George, and that is front end damage. He's going for a full Austin Powers rejoin while letting 200 million cars go through. That is a disaster for Mead. He's come out on the medium tyres to go for the one stop, George, and much like one of the RCZs, less than a lap in, it's massively backfired, and that is Bruce the Shark now being hunted down by the Spark. It's the Spark the Shark. The Porsche is fresh on softs, and much like his teammate Nick Bautasso earlier, the curse of the Mercedes has run through the team. He's now on medium tyres with a damaged car. It doesn't get any worse than that at Bathurst, really, does it?
No, it doesn't at all. That's a disaster for him. He had flexibility in his strategy as well, but if you make a mistake like that, well, your strategy is going to go downhill, unfortunately, as they are right now. Similar gradient, I would say. Maybe even steeper than Forest Elbow entry, but yeah, not great for Glenn Mead, and that's not great for Mad Turtle Racing either, because they were hoping to get a bunch of points. Glenn Mead was hoping to get ahead of Matt McCullum today as well. That is not going to be the case unless Matt McCullum makes a huge mistake in this one. So that may be a title-changing mistake there from Glenn Mead. Really unfortunate to see. And it's one of those things, as a driver, John, both you and me can attest to that. We've both done this. We've been on the faster, grippier tire at the beginning. We've gone onto a softer tire, come around the first corner expecting it to act the same as a soft, and turned it around and put it into a barrier.
Oh, absolutely, 100 million%. Yep. I've done that several times at every single racetrack there is. Yeah, Barcelona, Bathurst, I've done it all. New Holland has seen me undone on a fresh set of tyres so many times. I'm amazed I still enjoy that track. But yeah, that is the both of the Mercedes there. One of them in the first stint damaged with mediums, and then in the second stint damaged with mediums, and that is not the points tally that the team would be hoping for. Bautasso is fighting back. He's up to 5th position, 19 laps in. He's got Ando ahead of him. Ando at the minute still unable to get his way past Luke Stone. Luke Stone putting in very commensurate laps. So both of them lapping in the 203s on a good lap. So that is the pace that they've got. And Nick Pfaff as well is lapping the same 203s, but he's got a few seconds gap back to these two. So even if Ando does get past Stone, can he catch up to Nick Pfaff? That is going to be quite the ask. Is anyone going to catch up to Guy Barbara? No. That's the end of that conversation. Yeah, no.
Sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, sorry, that was a statement. I made that sound like a question. My apologies.
Yes. The inflection was wrong, yeah.
The inflection was wrong. The tone was completely wrong. Yes, no one will catch Guy Barbara. End statement. Yeah, he is absolutely flying. A driver of the season, surely, to come in as late as he did and to gather as many points, pole positions. I mean, yeah, he's just taken everything by absolute storm. And as far as liveries go, it's pretty damn sweet. So, yeah, Guy Barbara winning on all fronts.
I was saying last week, actually, and yeah, as I was saying last week, I was like, whoever is the livery maker at either Hoon Corp or ONC who got given the task of, hey, can you blend these two liveries together? And they're probably sitting there throwing their pencils at the drawing board, going, why? Well, no, they understand why probably. What they probably don't understand is how much work was probably involved, and that's what we don't understand is how much work is involved in putting two very different, complicated liveries together on a single car. And that's a monumental effort to do. So it is a beautiful looking car. They've done really, really well on that for Guy Barbara, and to have the ONC played outplayed, I should say, there with the Hoon Corp, integrated into one car. Fantastic stuff. And of course, Guy Barbara is the man from ONC Outplayed, and he'll be driving this weekend on TrackSpot TV as well. Go and tune in for the OzNZ Endurance Series on ACC PS5, and where you'll see Guy Barbara out there for the ONC Outplayed team, vying for the season win in round 7 at COTA for the 4 hours endurance. So check that out tomorrow. Sunday, may not be tomorrow, depending on when you're viewing it, but Sunday, the 7th of December. So check that out live on the TrackSpot TV YouTube channel. It is an interesting one here with Ando and Nick Pautasso.
Sorry, it is a
Go
very
right ahead.
privileged position seeing Guy Barbara, because no one he races gets to see him. The viewers do, but nobody's racing does. He just disappears off in the distance. Sorry, that was a terrible dad joke.
It's a terrible dad joke, but it is entirely valid. It's both based in fact and also funny. Yeah, exactly. One of the rare dad jokes that is objectively true and not a complete troll. And you're right, no one else is going to see him on track. You might see him briefly in the pit stop as he drives past you. Sort of flash of green and white. Mistake from Luke Stone opens up the opportunity on the inside for Ando, and he takes it. Very nice there from Ando to be looking for that one for a while, but eventually it's not him who does the overtake, it's Luke Stone making a mistake and just got a little bit squirrely on the exit of the chase. Getting the power down there is a very, very difficult thing to do. So fortunate for Luke Stone, it's a couple of points less that he'll get, assuming he finishes where he currently is. Because if these pro drivers finish up ahead of the elite category drivers, they get a few extra points. That translates to team points as well. So this is really important. But what this does is it brings Nick Pautasso potentially into the point where he might be able to start catching up. He's a while down the road still on very worn softs, and he'll probably be in the pits at some point to change out those tires, although we do have 7 minutes to go. I don't know. Well, it's a bizarre thing that we're seeing here. They're all on the softs running so long in this race. I'd be surprised if he's not thinking about pitting. I'm surprised that he's not pitted already to change out for a fresh set. He's got plenty of fuel on board, as does Scott Taylor, but Scott Taylor's tires are much better in terms of their condition. Yeah, it's on for these guys. It really is. And Matt McCullum at the moment does not want to be looking at the back of that Gridline Racing Nissan for much longer, but at this point he's got no real choice.
Indeed, he does not. Just having a look, yeah, Glenn Mead's still carrying that damaged motorsport airborne. Johnson has retired. He won't be finishing the race, unfortunately. He retired about 6-7 laps ago, if memory serves. Dubzetto and Airborne are still battling away, but of course the most fascinating battle is the one that George alluded to a moment ago, and that is the battle of the soft tyres and the lack of soft tyres that Nick Pautasso currently have, and he is caught between a rock and a hard place. He's got 7 minutes left to go, 6 minutes left to go. He's got not much grip on those tyres. If he comes into the pits, he will lose to Scotty and to McCallum as well in the Ferrari. If he stays out, he may be able to fend him off, but and this is the difference between these drivers with talent and commentators such as myself. Yeah, I would be too fearful of making a mistake, because one mistake could end up seeing the three of them completely wiped out, George, and he is really going to be cutting it low on those tyres, because at the moment, like I say, rock in a hard place, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. He's surely got to try and nurse these tyres to the end and fend off the positions rather than just roll over and instantly give up the 2 positions coming into the pits, even if it is just for a tyre swap without taking on any more fuel. Scotty and McCallum are going to be off into the sunrise, as we were saying earlier, and Spark could find himself with an extra position up the grid as well, because he too is on fairly fresh soft tyres, certainly fresher than Pautasso's at the minute.
Yeah, correct. And you know, we're just looking at the lap times as well. I think it was a 2:05.7 for Nick Pautasso last lap. This is a 2:05 flat for Scott Taylor. I'm not sure what Matt McCullum's lap time. I imagine it's pretty similar, 2:05.1 maybe, or it's 2:04.5. So these guys are catching up Nick Pautasso in the order of potentially 0.7 to 1 second a lap. That potentially puts them in shooting distance in a couple of laps' time. We've only got about 4 minutes and 10 seconds left in this race, so basically 3 laps to go at most. So Nick Pautasso at this point, yeah, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, but he's just got to hope he's got enough pace and not going to pop a tyre on the last couple of laps of this race. So I think he's just okay And this explains why he's staying out. He wants to stay out because if he does pit, well, he's giving away 2, maybe even 3 positions, all for what? But he's at the same risk if he stays out there. That tire continues to drop down. This is probably why he's doing 205.7s at the moment, because if he pushes the car too hard at this point, he's going to be in the same kind of trouble. So a real dilemma for Nick Tasso with good friends chasing him down, but competitors nonetheless. In the meantime, compare that to the Racing Soft degradation on Guy Barbara's car. He is in not great land either. This has been something we've seen with his driving during the time he's been in the season. He uses these tires to the absolute limit, but he can somehow do 203s on the same level of tires that Nick Tasso is currently running around the circuit on.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Not only that, I mean, how level the tyre wear actually is. To be in a car like the Supra around a course like Bathurst, and to have such even tyre wear over 4 tyres is just another testament to the talent that Guy Barbara, or Twitchy, the tyre talent that Twitchy has. It is quite the alliteration, and it is it's quite the show as well. I mean, his lap time's now 203s. That's what the drivers were hitting. This is him slowing down. Everyone else is peaking at 203s on the softs. He's now losing grip. His lap times are tumbling. He's still quicker than everybody else. And there you go. There's an example there. He's the 2.5 down on his own fastest lap. But he is still a country mile ahead. That is the technical terminology, of course. A country mile ahead of the rest of the field. There's Faf coming in to and out of safely Forest Elbow, or Devil's Elbow as it shall now be called. And there's Ando doing exactly the same thing. Andrew has a point to prove, Scott. Needs to get himself back on 2nd place. And George, again, not to harken back to it, you don't like to bring up drivers' misfortune and things, but coming out in traffic after that first pit stop, it's on the verge of costing him 2nd place in the race overall. Again, it just goes to show you, when you talk about racing and we talk about you need to have the whole package. Quick, consistent pit stops. You need to be able to get through the pit stops and get the pit strategy right, and Ando has gotten it wrong. He's been taking tips from the Ferrari F1 team, and it's not held him in good stead. He maybe needs to change that paint job from red to potentially purple or papaya to try and get some decent strategies out of the computer, because again, it's on the verge. As a Ferrari fan, it breaks my heart to say that, but yeah, the supercomputer, the strategy is on the verge of costing him 2nd place, and that is an absolute heartbreaker for Ando. We'll love him, he's a great driver, but that traffic has absolutely done him dirty, and 3rd place is what he could have to settle for here.
Lap times identical between Ando and Nick Pfaff that last lap, so he's not making as much progress as he's going to be wanting. He's just going to hope that Nick Pfaff is going to run lower on tires, but this is the last lap of the race, so it's not going to happen. And yes, coming out in traffic has cost him that 2nd position ultimately. I would honestly not recommend slapping your car with papaya, by the way, given recent results. Maybe the blue of Williams, maybe the optimal choice at the moment. Yep. They seem to be making some level-headed decisions. We'll see what happens.
No
Damage for Guy Barbara. He's made a big mistake. Now, even if he pits now, so before we hype this up too much, even if he pits now, which he probably... he's not going to, because it's time over. He's made a mistake on the last lap. We got all worried for a second there. There was nothing to worry about. It's all under control. Guy Barbara will take the top spot and the checkered flag all the way from the beginning of the race. He's been uncatchable, unstoppable, and in some case, missable. They haven't seen him at all on track. For us, unmissable work out there by him today. Guy Barbara, what a run through this season, and what an asset for Hunecorp Esports he has been this season. He's really helped keep them in team's title contention. Nick Pfaff is going to hold on as well. Nothing that Ando can do at this point, unless there's a mistake right at the last second, and no. He is going to get 2nd position there. What a drive from Nick Pfaff. Well done. The strategy was executed beautifully. Didn't have the same damage issues that others had on track. Well, they did a little bit, but not nearly as much. That'll be 3rd for Ando. Great result for him. And Luke Stone brings back the pro title win today. That is a great way for him to finish off a season where he had all the potential all the way through the season, but unfortunately didn't really find those results up until now. Gets that win in the pro category. He's happy to be back. Scotty was ahead. Yep, Scotty was ahead originally, but he's ahead of Nick Pautasso. So it's something we've missed. Oh, Nick Pautasso has got completely zero tires. They are completely gone. No way. 211.7 the last lap. And looks like something's happened to Matt McCullum as well. He hasn't picked up damage, but he's clearly made a mistake somewhere. Picks up third. Well, not third technically. Oh dear, airborne. Gets himself sideways. Oh dear, that's not a way you want to finish the race. But dead last, unfortunately, he'll let Glenn Mead and Chris Faripapa through at the end there. So Campbell Knowles not having a great end to this race, sadly. But Guy Barber has won. Let's go to our results screen. Wow, that was an entertaining race at the end. Let's just put it that way. A lot of people losing positions in an untimely manner as a result of their strategy choices. Those included Andrew Scott and Nick Pautasso, and Pautasso running out of tires. He's completely mucked that up, unfortunately. So those two who formerly in the commentary box, well, your careers are still well and alive over here. Let's just put it that way. You may not feel like you're good at driving anymore. I'm kidding. All right, in the elite category, it is Guy Barbara for Hooncorp Esports, 35 points. What a drive. Completely uncatchable there in this race. From the beginning of the race to the end of the race, led all the way. Fantastic work there, and a lot of points for Hooncorp Esports critically over the Mad Turtle Racing in the elite standings. Nick Pfaff in P2, Andrew Scott in third, Nick Pautasso in fourth, Campbell Knowles in fifth, and a DNS, of course, for Gopher Mahindra and Josh Green, not unfortunately able to make it to the race today. Really gutted on that one. Let's go and look at the pro category. Luke Stone takes 37 points, finished ahead of one of the elite level drivers. I think a couple of them, maybe three even. Yeah, I think 34 points. But Nick Pautasso corrected me on this on round 9, and yeah, he'll probably be in the chat somewhere. Scott Taylor takes P2. Honestly, one of his best results of the season here for Scott. Executed the strategy beautifully, got ahead critically of Matt McCullum in the pit stop, and then stayed ahead, had the pace today. Scott Taylor is an aficionado of Bathurst. He is super quick at this track. Some of the other tracks throughout the season have not been his cup of tea, that is for sure. But today, what a result for him and Gridline Racing as well. Matt McCullum for CP Motorsports in third, followed by Nick Roberts for Black Rose Racing, Michael Brill, Glenn Mead. A disaster today with the accident at Griffin's Bend, put it into the barrier. Did an Austin Powers 500-point turn. Found himself nearly dead last in the race. Chris Faripapa bringing home 7th position with Matthew Jointson in the wars today. It was on for Jointson today. He could have been up there on the podium for pro category, but sadly the damage was terminal. He didn't want to continue with the car, so he is unfortunately DNF'd today. Right, that is our results. Let's talk driver of the day, John, and then let's get to announcing the overall winners, because, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the final standings for the season for Group A available to us. But let's talk driver of the day first, John.
Yes, so driver of the day. I don't usually go for the race winner, but Nick Pfaff did really well. Ando got caught up in the strategy. I think that you can't look past Guy Barbara's performance today in the elite category. He was flawless from start to finish around the track that demands absolute precision and perfection. And that's exactly what he brought, just like he's brought every other race. He's been a more than worthy inclusion. I mean, that's not a bad stand-in to be able to bring in. And yeah, for me, I would give him driver of the day. And if you bear with me one moment, I'm going to say for the pro category, yeah, we'll make it a double winners conundrum. Yeah, let's go for Luke Stone as well. He did well on the strategy. He did well in that Supra. Knew when to hold him, knew when to fold him, brought himself home a race win, and yeah, maximum points for himself and the team. You absolutely can't ask for more.
We thought we were going to keep you out of the basement. We might have to relegate you back there, given you've taken the easy option for a driver of the day. Yeah, I think though it's a fair call at the end of the day. I think for me it's going to be Nick Pfaff. It's a good race from him. He's executed the strategy. It has played his way somewhat. So I think Nick Pfaff for me gets driver of the day in the elite category. For the pro category, yeah, I'm really at odds with this one. There's some good results through there. I think Scott Taylor, it's one of his best results of the season. He drove very well and he kept ahead of the Pro Title Championship leader, Matt McCullum, nearly all race long. Took advantage of the opportunities that came his way. I think that's a really good drive from them. So ironically, John going for first and first, me going for second and second. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is, and we'll try and split the difference between me and John. Now, let's take a look at our standings. This is the end of season final standings. Let's start with the elite category, and no question here, we know what this was. It was secured in round 9. Gautam Bahindajit, 318 points for Gridline Racing. He is your elite category champion for 2025 in the GT3 championship here, sponsored by Player1 Sim Gear. Guy Barbara in a very honorable P2. What a season. He's arrived late and he's driven incredibly well. He's challenged Gopi for those wins. 295 points puts him ahead of third place Nick Pfaff on 270 points. Andrew Scott finishes in fourth with Campbell Knowles just behind him, Nick Pautasso in sixth, and Josh Green in seventh. That is your championship standings for elite. Let's take a look at pro category. This is what we were wondering about. Has Matt McCullum done it? He's done it. And he's done it by 40 points as well. So even though he got third today in the pro category, he was already enough ahead to enable him to secure that pro title victory today. It was mathematically possible for him to lose this today, but he has held on. He's got enough points ahead. So Glenn Mead in second, a very honorable second, and that's a lot of points as well for Mad Turtle. Compared to the Hooncorp in pro category, who are down in fourth position. Scott Taylor by 1 point, and today's race and having himself in second was absolutely key to that. Puts himself ahead of Luke Stone, who won today's race. So that battle for third and fourth was going to, and fifth actually, was going down to the wire. Matthew Joynson was also in that as well. If Joynson had a good race today, he could have been up there in third position. Luke Stone, if Scott Taylor had finished 1 position below where he did, behind potentially Matt McCullum, he would have also taken third place today. Nick Roberts was also in the running, but had a shocker out there, unfortunately, today for Black Rose Racing. So there was a 5-way battle here for third place. Scott Taylor comes out on top, and he will be stoked with himself with that one. Very good result. Michael Brill in 7th, Chris Fadepapa in 8th, and Riley Nicholson in 10th for the pro category standings. So that's where it is. Your 2 champions, Gautam Bahindajit in elite, Matt McCullum in pro category. Congratulations to all the drivers in Group A. You've put on a wondrous season of racing for us here and for the viewers. Congratulations to you all, whether you came in first, second, or third, or last place, doesn't matter. You've all had a great season from our perspective. Well done. And now we look eagerly forward to the Group B racing to round out the season coverage here at TrackSpot TV. We're going to go onto a short break for 5 minutes, so go and grab yourself a nice cold drink and return soon, because Group B action right ahead of us. See you soon. Hello and welcome back to the Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship here at MotorMotion E-Series, brought to you, of course, by TrackSpot TV. My name is George Cook, and leading you through the commentary today, myself and John Wright back in the commentary box. And this is the group that we're looking forward to. We love Group A. The driving standard in Group A is so high. It is so impressive to watch these guys do what they do out on track. And what a fascinating end to the race we had and the season we had in Group A. But taking nothing away from that at all, Group B, eternally our favorite group of shenanigans, of interesting, quote-unquote, decisions, of 500-point Austin Powers style turns, of all sorts of antics. Group B is where it's at for that, and we're looking forward to rounding out the season with a bit of fun here at the Group B for the Pro-Am and Am Championship. However, it is not all fun and games, because in the Pro-Am title, we have a three-way battle between Mark Hasel1, Marcel Albertin, and Joe Rudinsky. They are all separated by 1 point apiece. 290 points for Mark Hasel1, or not 290, sorry. They are separated a little bit lower than that, so but very close battle between those three for the Pro-Am title, and we're going to have to make sure that we keep a close eye on where they finish today. It's going to be very, very important. Similar situation for Jack Finch, Chip Berry, and Mark Hogan in the Am class. So while we do enjoy the antics out here, John, this is going to be serious racing for these guys at the end of the season.
Yes, it is, absolutely. There's championships on the line, and of course the team points as well. You always want to represent well for your team. Let me just undouble the... Yeah, we had double audio there, but we'll fix that as well. So apologies for that temporary glitch. But yeah, no, serious, and it's a serious track as well, George, as we've just seen from the Group A race. Absolute precision and concentration is demanded for the entirety of the 174-metre ascent and descent around this course. So they're going to have to be absolutely on the ball, and they're going to need to get their strategy call absolutely spot on. You do not want to get andoed.
No, you do not want to get andoed, and you do not want to Glenn Mead yourself or Matthew Joynson yourself in this one. And those guys, I'm sure, will appreciate the fact that we've now created a title for their race mistakes. We're not sorry. That's just the nature of racing and the nature of commentary. You will get labeled when you're on public television. It's going to be a good race out there. Same situation as I understand it. Same weather for these guys. So it's really going to come down to how they execute the strategies out there today. I think it is time. The cars are ready. We're ready to go for Group B. This is the last race of Season 3 here at the GT3 Championship, Round 10 at Bathurst. We're ready to go. Hope you are too. Let's get into it. Well, here we go, and it's Troy Britnell on pole position, followed by RPM and Jack Finch, so we'll get an idea of who's who and who's where. The green light is gone, and Racing Soft Tyres, the choice for Troy Britnell out the front, and he's going to go through this first corner with RPM right behind him. RPM, Bob Massey, of course, who's the first race winner in Am class. He's the first person to take an overall win. There's the rest of the field filing on through. So Calculated Risk is in 4th position, followed by Jeff Bruin for Gridline Racing. Boosted Blake in 6th, followed by Mark Hasel1 and Legendary Berry. There's Calculated Risk right now on the medium tyres to begin with, but Bob Massey putting a lot of pressure on our race leader. Troy Britnell, what a qualifying he's had to put it on pole position, his first pole position in this series, and also sporting a brand new livery today on the Honda. Great to see. But this is going to be the key thing here for Bob Massey. He's Am class, as is Troy Britnell. So 2 Am class drivers on the top spot. Where are the Pro-Am drivers? It's also Jack Finch for Am class in 3rd position. I think Marcel Albertin is the first one battling with Jeff Bruin. So both the lead Pro-Am drivers all starting behind 3 Am class drivers. Turns out the Am class guys are pretty good at Bathurst, turns out. Into Skyline we go for the first time. And RPM looking to seal this deal as soon as possible. Troy Britnell will obviously be running away from them with the soft tyres, but we'll have that early pit stop to do, keeping an eye on the rest of the field. You've got Expat there. Joe Rudinsky, why is he so far down the field? That's unbelievable, and especially in this point, he's been leading the Pro-Am Championship for so long. this man was unstoppable. He was getting first place by the same positions and same distance that Gopin Mahindra was throughout the season. So he's had a shocker of a qualifying and now finds himself with a huge amount of work to do. This could cost him the Pro-Am title, because ahead of him, I believe we have not only Mark Hasel1, but also I believe we have Marcel Albertin. Yes, we do. So both of his championship contenders are ahead of him on track. There's Chip Berry, who's going to be fighting with Jack Finch, who's in third place. So the guys who are basically in the position to take championships today are finding themselves massively out of contention early on. Here's Jeff Bruin through Murray's Corner getting a reasonable run on Boosted Blake in the Pro-Am category. So these are our Pro-Am leaders right here, sitting behind 3 Am class drivers. The antics have started and we're barely on lap 2.
Yeah, but it is exactly why we'll love Group B. It is no holds barred racing action. We've got a couple of little groups forming, and as you say, Boosted Blake and Brune, their own little 2-car group there, just behind the top 3, and they could very easily be involved in the top 3 very quickly indeed. We do see a Mad Turtle Mercedes that is on the medium tyres without carrying damage. The first time today we have seen that through any of the races, not the curse of the commentator, but can RPM do what no one else in a Mad Turtle Mercedes has managed to do at Bathurst? Sorry, what I should have said there was what anyone else in a Mad Turtle Mercedes has done at the mountain. There we go, we'll keep it all the M's, but certainly he's on the medium tyres, he's not carrying any damage. He is carrying Finch with him though, and we've seen already, George, what these Supras can do around this course. So RPM is going to have to be absolutely on point, and Brits Lightning currently praying that RPM stays on point and keeps both of them well behind after what has been a lightning start for Brits Lightning. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, well, I managed to cap off your M's with a so I feel like I participated ever so briefly in that very skillful joust on the microphone. Jack Finch setting purples at the moment, no surprise there with the Supra. He's going to be in a position to overtake, probably into the chase. Will he get it done on the braking zone? No, decides better of it. That's probably the sensible decision. He's forced Bob Massey well offline, so an opportunity for the cutback into Murray's Corner. He's going to have the outside line. He's going to dive to the inside. There's a little bit of a gap there, but Bob Massey covers that off beautifully. Late apex here. We saw that in the previous race with Nick Pautasso and Jointson coming to blows at that corner at least once in the race. There may have been other incidents there that we didn't catch. Boosted Blake in the Supra starting to stretch its legs over Jeff Bruin, who's in a good position overall in terms of the Pro-Am fight here. He's second in Pro-Am. On the racing softs is Mark Hasel1, who's also in title contention. So this is the key thing here today. Mark Hasel1 is, I believe, leading the title. He's second in the title, I think, at the moment. Needs a good result here today. He's going to be in trouble. There's an overtake from Joe Rudinsky. Going for it. This is what he's going to have to do all race long. It's going to have to be overtake after overtake after overtake, or he's not going to find himself up in a position to challenge for the championship title of Pro-Am, which he's led for so long in this season.
Indeed, yeah, he really does need to get a shift on here, and he started on the medium tyres as well, so his strategy very much in the wind. Is he going to try and stretch these out, or is he going to go for a doubler, go for a 2-stopper and go for 2 stints on the softs from here? It really is going to be a tough decision trying to make his way back through the field. Overtaking, as we know around here, is very limited. Well, he's almost limited his capacity to stop the car there as he put 2 wheels on the grass, but he is still going, and he is setting personal best sectors, which again is what he needs to do. He is up against an RCZ though, and we saw in race 1 what they're capable of doing around here, and he's got calculated risk in the Porsche. In fact, risk in the Porsche and Hodges, they might have the battle that brings the X-Pat to positions closer to where he needs to be sooner rather than later, because on the Conrod straight, that is a very good run that he's got, and into the chase chicane, George, it's going to be close between these two, and at this point calculated risk and Hodges they're playing X-Pat's game here.
Yep, they certainly are. I mean, Hodges not really in the contention for the AM class battle, so he's a little bit out of position, or certainly involved in this battle, but Joe Rudinsky and Marcel Albertin, that's calculated risk. That is potential for championship changing results there. So X-Pat's going to be looking ahead and going, right, I don't necessarily care about this RCZ, but I'd love them to get out of the way as soon as possible. Whereas he's looking at that Porsche and going, right, that is tasty championship points. And oh, wow, late braking from Joe Rudinsky nearly runs it into the back of the RCZ, who's trying to take the late apex and try and get a good run on the Porsche ahead. He's done so beautifully and will pull out of the slipstream and into the side, and he's going to have the inside line into Griffin's Bend. That's going to be a very clean overtake there from the RCZ driver. The Aster Racing driver has done beautifully well there, focused on the apex, but nearly had Joe Rudinsky erroneously into the back of his rear of the car. That's a scrape on the wall, and Marcel Albertin. We were just talking about this battle. Why has it changed so suddenly? Calculated risk. Didn't calculate the risk on that one at all at Griffin's Bend. Ran into the wall, and Joe Rudinsky is through.
Yes, indeed. The mighty Mercedes not floundering at all. Another one on medium tyres with no damage. And yeah, we just talked about how the two drivers ahead were playing his game. And they absolutely did. And as George said, calculated risk did not calculate the risk correctly on that one. And that has put him at a huge deficit, because not only has it put him behind a charging expat and Hodges now, he's got legendary Perry, who's just bounced off the wall, George. So I curse to the commentator, just thinking about the fact I was about to bring him into the conversation there. But yeah, calculated risk and legendary Perry, the teammates now very close. And after that touch on the wall, Blue Dog has come to say hello, ending this on GT3, just to make it a bit more interesting for the Porsches. Let's go Group B.
Absolutely love it. And it's you know, we say one thing, another thing happens. It's not because we're entirely unskilled at what we do. We're aware of what happens on track. It's just that Group B is throwing curveballs every single time something happens, something different happens. So this is why we love Group B. It's absolutely all over the place, and we love it. So it's not all over the place at the top, but we'll keep an eye on that. Aussie GDR in 12th, Richard Robinson in 13th, rounding out the grid, and fastest lap held at the moment by Troy Britnell. What a charge he is on at the moment, leading the race as an AM class driver. If he does win the race today, which he's in the top spot, the box seat to do so, then that will be only the second AM class driver to take a overall win in a race. It happened for the first time with Bob Massey, who's in second place with RPM. Last race at Autopolis, where he pulled off an absolute masterstroke. Unfortunately, we didn't get to watch that race due to an issue with the replays, but Bob Massey was absolutely on fire at Autopolis on his best form at the end of the season. But Troy Britnell, I love this new livery. It looks absolutely brilliant. The sort of really hyper metallic blue with the drops of red in there. Looking great. What a combination for the Loctite Honda for Lightning Motorsport. Great livery work. Oh my goodness. And that is a massive slide and a big impact. Oh, I was going to say he nearly picked up no damage there, but he's actually backed it in as the field now comes on through, trying to take advantage. Boosted Blake wants a piece of this too, but he's not going to get it. But Jack Finch and RPM critically through on Troy Britnell, who was singing his praises, John. That's definitely one curse for me. Oh, and Boosted Blake has cooked it. He saw the opportunity, but he unfortunately has, oh my goodness, that is the most unbelievable rejoin. It's so lucky that there's a little bit of ghosting here, because that was a disastrous way to rejoin the track, reversing into the racing line. He's now got caught up with Blue Dog, who's overtaken him as well. Big damage for the 747 car.
Yeah, that is, yeah, huge damage, and yeah, not the rejoin that you would like to see. Absolutely heart and mouth material. It is very, very, very lucky for 4 or 5 cars that there is a bit of light ghosting on here, or that was a race-ending scenario. Certainly any podium plans were going to be put firmly in their place, because you would have been straight into the pits. That's a lot of damage that needed repaired, and a lot of cars that have just been gifted positions. And yeah, it's all happening right through the field, because Brits Lightning again, just before that happened, remember, he lost the lead of the race. The Lightning livery finding the wall. He's managed to pick up rear damage. That's how much of a spin he had. He's damaged the back of the car as Brunt and Hasel1 are battling away in the background. Hasel1 He'll be hoping he doesn't copy Ando's strategy. If he is copying the strategy, he will try and avoid the traffic to get Hasel1 Motorsports as many points as he can before the end of the season, and there could be at least another position up for grabs. Will it be Brun or will it be Lightning? I think he's going to get the move done on at least one of them here, George, as these two battle for position. Brit's Lightning is all at sea after looking very confident up front.
Yeah, exactly. A sea of metallic blue, sadly, by the sounds of it, and that maybe is part of the curse. I'm not sure, but he had no damage. This is the thing. He made that spin. He went through the dipper, which is going through now. He slid sideways down the hill, and he didn't actually pick up any damage, Sean. It's when he reversed. He reversed himself up to get himself back on track that he touched the barrier with the rear part of the car and picked up damage completely on his own. So unfortunately for him, he's done a wondrous save on it, but then backed it up into the barrier and put damage on the car. And now I think, we're going to be seeing Jeff Bruin make an easy overtake here. Yeah, nothing to be said there for that one at all. Jeff Bruin moves up into third overall, and critically with a car between him and Mark Hasseltine. Mark Hasseltine is chasing down the Pro-Am title today. He's ahead of both of his competitors, both Joe Rudinsky and Marcel Alberton, who are sitting in 7th and 8th. And here goes Mark Hasseltine on Troy Britnell, who's pulling into the pits. And unfortunately, with the soft tires there, I don't know, he can't have had that much damage. I'm a bit unsure why he's not going to stay out and do the last couple of laps that he would have done anyway on the racing softs. So a little bit of a surprise there for Troy Britnell, and maybe could have just stayed out a little bit longer. He was clearly bleeding a lot of time. I mean, that Honda is so reliant on the rear diffuser. With damage there, it's just going to have zero grip. So now those two are released in the Pro-Am title to battle each other, but Jeff Bruin not in contention for a Pro-Am title. He's sitting 7th in the overall championship. So he is not vying for a championship position. So Mark Hasseltine will be looking at him and going, I need those extra points. That could be the difference between getting a Pro-Am championship title today or not. And I mean literally, because there are literally only 1 point separating a lot of them. Oh, RPM has a big moment as they come up Quarry. He manages to collect it, but look at the overspeed Jack Finch has got now. So Jack Finch will be on it. And bear in mind as well that Bob Massey not in contention for the AM Class Championship. He's really just wanting the honors of winning 2 AM Class races overall in 2 races. He won round 9 and put the AM Class right at the top of the field. He's potentially going to do that today again, but Jack Finch is looking at this and going, I want those extra points. I want to make as big of an impact on this championship standings at the moment. As long as he finishes up ahead of Chip Berry and Mark Hogan, Blue Dog, he is going to win the AM Class regardless.
Yep, he's going to need to be fully concentrated, Tom. We've seen how easily it can go wrong, but a great drive by himself and RPM up at the front of the field so far, and that Supra in a straight line is absolutely having its way with the Mercedes into the chase chicane, though the Mercedes is going to be slightly better on the brakes, which means they're going to exit with RPM just in front. That mistake by RPM, though, he cannot repeat that anytime soon. If he does, he will be in the rear view mirror of the car that is currently behind him. There is no two ways about it. Now, who was it that came into the pit? We've got Blue Dog, Aussie GT, Brit's Lightning, of course, came into the pits. He's come back out in 11th, George, and unsurprisingly, he's gone for softs. Surprisingly, he's only taken 3/4 of a tank of fuel. So he's resigned to the fate of taking a 2-stop strategy. He's trying to run the car as light as possible. He reckons he can get 3/4 of a tank out with the softs. He's then going to come back in. Heartbreak for Brits after the start that he's had. But back out in 11th, it certainly could have been worse given that Boosted Blake and Robinson are the cars that are currently behind him.
Yeah, precisely right. And I think with Troy Britnell, I mean, he's going to have the pace. He's got the fastest lap to his name at the moment. We know he'll be quick. And critically, he's come out without any traffic ahead of him. So he can really just get refocused, get out there, get some really good laps on his timing board, and maybe claw his way back up to a possible top 5. It is possible, but yeah, with the extra pit stop that he's, or the early pit stop he's done, he may have just hamstrung himself in terms of the strategy. We'll see how it works out for him. I still think he's got the pace to really be in contention for a top 5 today, but we will see how that all filters out through the sieve. In the meantime, legendary Berry and Blue Dog separated by not much on track. There's Marcel Albertin on the medium tyre. So just remember, folks, we've got a number of medium runners out there in Group B, including Joe Rudinsky, who's been probably the quickest man on the medium tyre so far this race, although it nearly has a moment on the exit of Devil's Elbow. Hasel1 not able to catch up so far to Jeff Bruin. It doesn't matter too much for him. He just needs to be ahead of Expat. So Joe Rudinsky really is the main competitor that he's looking at right now. And given how quickly he's going on the medium tires, he's doing reasonably good lap times, faster than we're seeing now on the worn tires for Mark Hasel1, who clips the curb and finds himself doing a 360 on track. Through goes Joe Rudinsky. Oh, the track rejoin is so scary. Please don't do that. I mean, thank goodness for the ghosting that is enabled by GT7. In any other game, that would have been a horrendous accident. But now Hasel1 finds himself throwing the position away. And this is now Joe Rudinsky's game. He's leading, he's second in Pro-Am, only behind Jeff Bruin, who's not in champion contention. This could be Joe Rudinsky's day. He could find himself the Pro-Am title winner.
Yeah, we're all out here playing checkers. Joe Rudinsky's playing chess. It's that simple. He knew something we didn't. You know what? I don't need a qualifying time. It's Bathurst. I'm going to run quick, clean, and consistently, and I'm going to see where the chips fall, aka, or i.e. even a podium. It's that simple. The others around their heads are going. They're gone. Their tyres are gone, and Joe Rudinsky is just getting the head down and getting the job done. He's now up to 4th position. With a personal best 204.977. The fastest lap of the race is a 204.954. That's a quarter of a tenth of a difference. That is the game that Rudinsky is playing at the moment, and he is absolutely playing to win. And Hodges in the RCZ is about to find that one out very, very, very soon indeed, because it's a while before either of these drivers are coming in to shed these tyres. Quick look at the top two. But yeah, interesting battle here, George, and Joe Rudinsky, he rolled 6 dice and it came up Yahtzee, quite simply.
Simply, yeah, it is 100% true, and it is one of those key things at Bathurst. I've never really believed in qualifying at Bathurst particularly well, because I know that the key thing is to stay out of the shenanigans that happen. Sadly, that's never really gone my way. I usually end up becoming the cause of shenanigans. Little moment there for Joe Rudinsky on the exit of the chase, still trying to wrangle the Mercedes to go in the direction that he wants it to go in. This is crucial, though, for the team's title, with Bob Massey in the Mad Turtle car leading the race for AM Class and potentially bagging nearly an entire points worth of being ahead of the entire elite field. The entire Pro-Am field, I should say. He is in a massively good spot for Mad Turtle. And then you've got Joe Rudinsky. Looks like Jeff Bruin may have come into the pits, so Joe Rudinsky is actually now leading Pro-Am class as well. This is massive because Jack Finch is needing to be up there on the top spot for Hooncorp Esports. He's potentially in for the AM class win regardless, so he doesn't really matter if he wins the race or not, but it does matter for the team's title. He needs to be ahead of Mad Turtle to get Hooncorp the points they need to elevate themselves up into the top spot in the team's title. And similarly, unfortunately for Blake Williamson, we saw him have that spin at Devil's Elbow and put himself on the wall. So already losing a whole bunch of points there is Hooncorp Esports. And they're going to be in trouble in this race. They need Jack Finch to win this race ahead of Bob Massey. Crucially, not crucial for the AM Class Drivers' Championship, but absolutely crucial for the Team's Championship. Otherwise, they might find that this result for Mad Turtle Racing ends up being the Team's title for Mad Turtle Racing as well. A little moment for Jack Finch. He's lost a bit of time coming down the dipper.
He definitely doesn't want to do that too often. Because it is very easily done, and that will accumulate. These two, especially being on the medium tyres, they need to stay damage free. They need to stay out for as long as possible, and they definitely hold the cards over the two behind, because Hodges and Joe Rudinsky, as we can see, they've only got a quarter of a tank of fuel left each, whereas the RPM and Finch certainly a bit longer He should be out on track, or capable of staying out on track for his first stint. So he'll be looking and hoping to pull off an overcut, I would say. Keeping himself clear, well and truly clear of the rest of the field. Legendary Berry and Calculated Risk now fairly separated as well. And Hasel1 recovering from that incident, George. He is on the last dregs of his soft tyres, and bang on cue. Comes in 10 laps. We did say 10 to 12 was possible on these tyres, and Hasel1 getting 10 laps out with 21 litres of fuel left as well. So it just goes to show you the difference between the fuel and the tyre consumption when it comes to the softs and the mediums. So yeah, Hasel1 have come in, and Jeff Bruin, oh, and more importantly, Brits Lightning has gotten ahead. Now he is slightly out of kilter with the pit stops, but it's still good news for him to be getting back ahead of Hasel1 after that early pit stop, George.
Yeah, certainly is. And I mean, Troy Brunel is committed to that two-stopper right now. I get the feeling that Mark Hasel1 is probably looking at a one-stop race. He'll be switching onto the mediums most likely. We'll keep an eye on that once we return to him, once he's out of the pits. But he may well be doing exactly that. Although, fresh rating softs, let's just see, 100 litres of fuel on board. Yep, medium tyres. He's running to the end. He is one-stopping in this race, and I think that's a good decision from him. A lot of the people around him are going to be going for that second stop. So yeah, I think this will work out quite nicely for Mark Hasel1. We'll see where he filters out. I mean, we've got another while in this race, another 28 minutes to go. So there's a long way to go in this. So keep an eye on Mark Hasel1. He's the one in the running for the Pro-Am title alongside Marcel Albertin and Joe Rudinsky. So we'll see if they're on a two-stop strategy as well. Jeff Bruin has set the fastest lap of this race on his racing soft tyres, a 2:04 flat, or nearly flat, 0:13. So very close to being flat indeed, and he's just coming up to the back of CP Motorsport's Aussie GTR, and that'll be an easy overtake for a driver of Jeff Bruin's caliber. Let's see, he's going to dive to the outside, which will, well, inside technically, but now the outside as they come through the kink in the Conrod Straight. There it is, and he'll sweep in front. Very close between the two of them. I don't think Aussie GTR is particularly happy about being overtaken, but nothing that he's going to be able to do with that. Much fresher tyres on Jeff Bruin's car. We're on lap 11. We're coming up to half race distance. A flurry of pit stops inevitably going to happen. Mark Hogues coming into the pits from his medium tyres. The first medium tyre runner coming in. Oh, but he's got big damage on the car, so he's made a big mistake somewhere. And that's probably why he's been forced to pit just a little bit earlier than he would have wanted to.
Yep, he's still got enough fuel to do at least a couple of laps there. And again, as I'd mentioned in the Group A race, a lot of the strategies, some of the drivers may have planned this, that, and the next thing. No battle plan survives first contact with the enemy or Bathurst walls. So yeah, Dam is bringing the Peugeot RCZ in just a few laps early for Blue Dogs like him. We'll see, he's going to switch on to the soft tyres. They are mandatory, so if you're going to run them, even if he's going to take another stop after this, he is going to be on the softs as Boosted Blake comes round the last corner. He's in the Supra. He's going to have the run, of course, into the first corner. He's going to have much more speed as Hogues tries to get the tyres up to temp. He's out on the softs, but that is Boosted Blake out in front. So yeah, Boosted Blake getting the job done after a tough start to the race. Hodges back out in 11th, Robinson 12th. Hasel1 still down in 13th position, a fair chunk of change behind Hodges at the minute, as Expat, it looks like, is still carving his way through the field. Legendary Berry looking good in the tip. Oh, Finch has got damage.
Oh.
Finch has got damage, and a big gap between the top two, and Expat Joe Rudinsky.
Oh my goodness. Hooncorp Esports are in trouble here. They're in massive trouble here. The only real hope they had at the moment with Blake Williamson so far down the field for Hooncorp was going to be Jack Finch winning today's race and getting just enough points potentially in combination with the Group A finishes for Hooncorp to actually win the championship overall in the team's title. That's looking unlikely now, and it is a Hooncorp sandwich happening right now. Joe Rudinsky's hunting him down at a rapid rate on better tyres and, of course, with no damage. So crucially, for a car that doesn't turn particularly well, the front damage is so bad to have on a Supra. It's going to cost him that front line the top speed advantage as well. And you can see, yeah, look at the close-in from Joe Rudinsky on the medium tyres as well, setting purple first sectors. This is going to be the run. Let's go on board with him and see what this looks like from a driver's perspective. And coming through Griffin's Bend up the hill, or a little bit of a step out on the rear there. It's not comfortable for the Mercedes drivers at all. You sweep it to the left, hard on the brakes, get it slowed down, turn it in, use that camber to your advantage, and up the hill you go. You can test the waters, the shark-infested waters, with the accelerator on the exit of the cutting. See what goes your way and see what doesn't. Then you're through and up the hill through Quarry, now into Frog Hollow. Round we go, Reed Park, now Suleiman. Such a tricky one. You're riding the curb usually on the entrance and through the apex and on the exit there, and the car does not want to play ball. The sunrise looming large over skyline as we head down. Full hard on the brakes there, a little bit maybe overly hard on the brakes, but clearly needed to bleed off a lot of speed through that corner. And the medium tires not looking quite as good, actually, I have to admit, John, over the hill. Looks like Jack Finch has still got the advantage in that sector.
He definitely does seem to, and at the moment though, it's all going to be about the pit stops. Finch carrying that damage, still able to get it done over the hill. It looks like RPM is close to coming into the pits. He might be able to squeeze another lap out. Might not be worth it, but good time to come in to put the softs on. Definitely could get another lap for Finch, but with the damage, is this another situation where the pit strategy is impinged upon by damage and the decision is taken out of the driver's hands? No, Finch is staying out for another one. RPM has stayed out for another one as well with that red petrol tank. So absolutely going for the one-stop strategy. He's going to be hoping, I'd imagine that he has an accident on the last lap like Guy Barbara did, so we don't have to do the extra lap because they're due to cross the line with about 20 seconds left in the race, which could give them another lap, certainly based on Group A. So staying out for an extra lap now could be worth it, but a bit of damage on the last lap might also be worth it. Finch still keeping ahead of Expat, and tell you what, Joe Radinsky, for being in a Mercedes, that is a brave driver that takes on an extra lap when there is that little left in such a fuel-hungry car, George, as Joe Radinsky just knocked the dice off the playing surface, I'm wondering.
He might well have here. It's a big, hungry V8 turbocharged engine. Has always been the Mercedes Achilles heel, has been the fuel consumption and also the rear end, but that's less of an issue. Depends on how used to the FR nature of the car you are. But certainly a bold move from both RPM and Joe Radinsky. They've done their homework, and this is something that has been reiterated to us a number of times by Nick Pautasso. Mad Turtle guys, they just work together so well. They're so happy with their team culture, and it's reflected in their race results as well. They've done the work. They've figured out the strategies that are going to work for them. They've all helped each other to get up to that skill level that's required for these races, and all season long it has just been consistent result after consistent result. It's not been outright race wins all season long for these guys. It has been consistent race results that have really put them in contention for this. And unfortunately, as much as I'd love to say the same for HoonCorp Esports, they've been on a number of different strategies, each of them seeming to come up with their own strategy for the most part, or Joe Radinsky is just on the bleeding edge of grip for this last part of the race. We'll see a flurry of pit stops here by the drivers. But HoonCorp Esports seem to have come up with different race strategies. I don't know how much alignment is going on inside the camp. Now, that is not to take away anything from the HoonCorp Esports camp. They're all a bunch of incredibly good drivers, and the culture in there is also extremely excellent. But at the moment, it looks like Mad Turtle may have been winning on all sides of this, assuming they can bring home this result. And I get the feeling we're probably going to see Expat maybe get out ahead of Jack Finch as well today, given the fact that Jack Finch is holding that damage. So that's going to be a critical moment to look at as well. Got Troy Britnell going to take the, well, technically go in ahead of these guys for the moment. Aussie GDR still to pit as well, but Troy Britnell, bear in mind, is on an alternative strategy. Here is Blue Dog coming round Hell Corner, a little bit awkwardly, but through nonetheless. And there is RPM. There is Expat, and he's ahead of Jack Finch as predicted. Wow,
yeah, he's got it done with the fuel hose. Let's see, he's taking on just over 3/4. Yeah, so just having that little bit less fuel going in. I mean, it's a brave strategy. If the Supra needs that much fuel to get to the end, then surely the Mercedes needs more. We'll find out. We'll see.
Potentially.
Yeah, he's throwing 8 dice and hoping for Yahtzee now. 6 wasn't enough of a flex for Joe, so he's going for 8. He'll be up to 12 soon, and he will be the Yahtzee World Master as well as the Master of the Mountain if he pulls this one off. 7th place at the moment behind RPM, who will remain the net leader out at the moment in 6th position. Blue Dog, Brits Lightning Brits Lightning has been in the pit, so too has Blue Dog. Blue Dog currently 5th, Brits Lightning 4th. Aussie GTR going to be to come in the Ferrari. Brune and calculated risk. He'll be calculating his pit strategy now, George, as he brings his Porsche in, and a good opening stint. He'll have a decent amount of rubber left on his soft tyres come the end of the race. Making the one-stop work in the Porsche is no mean feat around here.
Yeah, exactly right. And critical moments for Marcel Albertin. If he's got any hope of winning the Pro-Am title, of which he is in contention for, he's got to make this a good pit stop. He's got to have a very good next stint if he's going to be in the mix with Mark Hasel1 and Joe Rudinsky. And Joe Rudinsky's position out on track, getting second, is probably the only way that he's got a hope of getting up ahead of these other drivers. In fact, I think Joe Rudinsky actually needs to win this race by some margin, by some number of positions. I'm not 100% sure exactly how many positions he needs to win it by, but he needs to be the man on the top spot today regardless. And he needs to see Mark Hasel1 and Marcel Albertin fair way down the grid, certainly not in second and third overall in terms of the Pro-Am results. So it is on today. It is absolutely on. Calculated risk just about to come out of the pits as well. Looks like he'll be coming out in 8th position. Where is Mark Hasel1? Is he still down the back of the grid? I think he is, isn't he? He is. He's nearly dead last in this race with damage as well. This could shake up the Pro-Am Championship massively.
Wow.
Mark Hasel1 needs to be up there to guarantee himself a win. He's already got a fair chunk of points ahead of the other 2 drivers, but he does need to have a reasonable result today, and that damage on medium tyres is becoming a repetitive tale at Bathurst.
It is, yeah. It does seem to be the meta combination that the drivers are opting for. I'm not sure why, but again,
I'm not sure if it's optimal though.
No, yeah, no, exactly, yeah. I mean, if it is, I really do have a lot to learn about driving. But yeah, no, Hasel1 picking up the damage on the medium tyres. It's just a race to forget. A lot of umming there, my apologies, but it's a race to forget for Hasel1. He really needs to have a strong finish, and even then, it might all be for naught at this point. We will see how the rest of the field shakes up, or certainly shakes one another, because they are looking to do so. We've got Blue Dog just ahead of Expat. He's going to be coming at the pits at the end of this lap, so he is effectively providing slipstream for the rest of the field at the moment. It's going to be interesting though, because they're going to catch him just when they get to the chases. They're all looking for positions. Hodges eyeing up a move up the inside line. Another driver deciding honour is the better part of valour, although X-Pac did look like he was going to get a little bit impatient, and he might need to get a bit more impatient, because here's Supra. Not quite the horror movie, but it is going to be in the rear view mirror, because these Supras are absolute card-carrying killers on the straight. We've seen it at Daytona, we've seen it at several tracks, and with a personal best lap under his belt, Finch has a newfound lust for that podium, George. He's got Hodges and X-Pac just ahead of him as another flurry of cars in the pits. Brits Lightning in for his second stop with 17 laps under, but certainly Finch at the moment is looking good to try and hijack a podium spot from X-Pac and Hodges, who will, I'm sure, put up quite the battle. That is a late braking manoeuvre there, so much later on the brakes for the Supra, as well as the acceleration. That is yeah, it doesn't bode well for Hodges at the minute, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. I just can't get this out of my head now. It's not the Shining. It's going to be the refueling, and it's got a Supra bashing down a door to get into the bathroom. So it's just,
that's the one.
The refueling to be coming to your screens in 2020. Oh gosh, yes indeed. Oh, that's a bounce off the inside curb though for Jack Finch. No damage to the car. Somehow he's pushing hard. This is the nature of Jack Finch. He just loves to push these cars to the absolute limit, but that was a very close moment, a small miscalculation on the entry trajectory to McPhillamy parked there and nearly bounces himself directly into the opposite side of the track barrier. Luckily for himself, it was just a trip to the gravel instead, but that certainly cost him a little bit of time in relation to the cars that he's battling with. And yeah, these pit stops now filtering things out, and I think we can probably call the overall order of things at the moment is RPM from Expat, critical, both Mad Turtle drivers and both ahead of their Hoon Corp counterparts. Joe Rudinsky, to win the Pro-Am title, needs to be winning this race. Jack Finch here is almost guaranteed an AM-class win at the moment. Even if he finishes second or third to RPM, it's not going to be a problem for him. His closest competitor, Chip Berry, is down in 7th position. In comes Mark Hogan for his pit stop in the RCZ. And that'll mean that we filter out the last remaining person in this top 4. RPM from Expat, from Jack Finch, from Marcel Albertin, who critically is still in the running, potentially for winning Pro-Am title, though he needs to catch up with Expat, Joe Rudinsky, in 2nd place. So this is another critical moment here. Calculated risk has got to be absolutely on point. He set a personal best of a 2:05.3, has gone 2/1000ths of a second into the purple in Sector 1. He's on a charge right now and needs to be pushing this car to its absolute limit in the last 13 minutes. Jeff Bruin behind him in 5th position, then Legendary Berry and Boosted Blake. That is not where you'd want to see a Hoon Corp car if you're a Hoon Corp esports fan, or if you want them to win the team's title. Seeing a 7th place person is not going to be good for their overall championship results. Mark Hasel1 still trying to catch up in the field, although we're wondering, I think he may still have enough points depending on where he finishes here. 9th at the moment. There'll be a few that may have a pit stop to go around him, so a couple of positions may come back his way, but Mark Hasel1 might just still get it for the Pro-Am title, even though Joe Rudinsky and Marcel Albertin are so far up the track from him. This is a really difficult one to do the maths on. The abacus can't keep up at all, that is for sure, but Hasel1's got to get at least one more position, I'd imagine, to find himself still in championship contention. It may only be a couple of points between them at the end. Aussie GTR pushing him along the track at the moment with some very aggressive driving from the Ferrari driver on Fresh Racing Softs. Was that a car off I just saw? Or am I just losing my mind? Is that just Group B illusion? I think it might have been. I think it must have been Group B illusion, yeah. Although Robinson's picked up some damage. And oh, this is going to go down to the wire, John. We've got 12 minutes remaining in the season. Group B providing the final action on track for Season 10. Indeed. But oh, sorry. I think the but there is that I think that Mad Turtle Racing should actually reverse the order here, because I don't think that Joe Rudinsky has got the ability to win the Pro-Am title, even though he may win it. In terms of the order on track, I think he may need those extra couple of points that are currently going to Bob Massey. I'm really worried now. I've been trying to do some math in the background here, but I think there's only going to be a couple of points between these guys for the Pro-Am title at the end, which means that that position, that top spot, is the difference between Joe Rudinsky winning the Pro-Am title and not. And I'm not sure if Mad Turtle are aware of that. Ooh. Well, that'll be a disaster one way or the other. Yeah, when you're being forced into administer a defense role in the team because you got Hooncorp, this is the real dilemma here. Do Mad Turtle even realize that they've got a potential Pro-Am category win for Joe Rudinsky on the line here? But what they'll be more aware of is the fact that they've got a Hooncorp esports car right behind them, their team's title champion. And that basically puts Joe Rudinsky into a defensive role immediately, unless they can do the switch at some point and put Bob Massey in front of a absolutely rapid Jack Finch. That is the only way that they're going to have to. I do not envy the decisions being probably made and discussed in the Mad Turtle pit lane right now, because they're having to weigh up a Pro-Am title versus the team's title. I don't think it's as close for the team's title. There's still a number of points between Mad Turtle Racing, who recently retook the lead after round 9. So it may not be as critical as a decision. I don't think it's going to come down to, based on the fact that we've got Boosted Blake basically out of the running, and Luke Stone didn't have a particularly great result either. I mean, obviously Guy Barbara got the maximum points, but it's not necessarily going to be enough to separate them, put Hooncorp up into a position to win it. I don't know if today's race, if Jack Finch finished ahead of them, I don't think that might be enough on its own. You'd need to have Blake Williamson up there, basically a 1-2 for Hooncorp to really gather enough points. So this may be a moot point for Mad Turtle Racing. It may be all about the Pro-Am title. Oof. I don't. It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So then that's faster racing soft tires versus Boosted Blake's mediums that he's been on for a while. Yes, hats off to your setup of the Georgia the Dragon thing. That took some setting up, but it was absolutely worth the wait. But it's probably funnier to us in the commentary box who do this on the regular. Maybe the public don't understand how much setup and how impressive that actually was. But it was done very gracefully by John. I will say. But certainly, I'm definitely worried there for Hasel1 losing that position again. It's more points. These guys are going to be separated by 1 point potentially each, and the order could be determined by who they finish ahead. This has got massive implications there. Mark Hasel1 has to finish up at least a couple more positions, I would imagine. I'm still struggling to get the abacus to do what I need it to do, but I think he needs to make sure he's above at least 1 or 2 more cars. He needs to be 8th, I think, in this race. To actually get that Pro-Am title. It's still in his ballpark because he's leading the Pro-Am title, but this poor result here so far today for Mark Hasel1 has opened the door for not only Expat, but also for Marcel Albertin in 4th position, who was also flying as well. So both 4th and 3rd on the grid, flying after Joe Rudinsky, who is potentially in the box seat, assuming that Bob Massey either gives him the position or he makes an overtake. For the championship win, and Mark Hasel1's position as the current Pro-Am leader in contention, and he needs to finish up in the top 8 at the very least to make his title win secured, and it'll only be by 1 or 2 points. This is absolutely wild stuff happening in the Pro-Am category. We're on the 22nd lap, looking at Marcel Albertin's car right now on fresher softs than Joe Rudinsky at the moment. And what's happened to Jack Finch? Jack Finch has had a problem. This could be big. 5th place, and what's happened there? He's had a crash, and that must have been down at Griffin's Bend. So a disaster, more disasters added to the heap of possible disappointment for the Huncor P Sports team's title contention, as he finds himself now behind 2 more cars, losing 2 positions. They certainly are, yeah. No, with the 2-stop strategy all on softs, Troy Britnell has put himself in contention for a few overtakes at the end of the race. Of course, remember, he did qualify on pole position, and then a fall from grace, a spin coming down Skyline through into the dipper with the damage that he picked up inadvertently as well by reversing into the barrier, really curtailed his opportunities in this race. And he may have been on the 2-stop anyway, but if he had done a 1-stop, he certainly would have been right up there with the Mad Turtle guys racing for the win today, which was impressive. And we had 3 AM-class drivers start ahead of the entire Pro-Am field in this race. Group B tossed on its head once again, not unfamiliar territory for those in this category. We return to the battle at the top with worn tires for both, and these two looking to seal the win here and potentially seal the team's title for Mad Turtle Racing. This will be a huge haul of points for them. But I return to the point I made before. From my calculations, it is critical that Joe Rudinsky finishes ahead of RPM in this race. It's not critical for the team's title. They'll still take home enough points to secure it. But for Joe Rudinsky, he may be losing the Pro-Am title by potentially 2 points, or 3 points actually, if I calculate it, if he does not finish up ahead of RPM, which at the moment I think is the only way to remedy that is to see himself on the pole position, on top of the grid, and winning the race and taking the checkered flag, which is going to happen in 2 minutes' time. We're on the final lap of the race now. Ha ha ha! Maybe. Yeah, some foreshadowing. Abu Dhabi, 3rd place, team orders, no one there to cheer on him on after the race. Don't want to double stack. Yeah. He might just be Piastri. Yeah, he nearly did. Ouch. Ouch, John. Ouch. Absolutely. Hey, look, you become a reserve driver. You get to go and do all the cool stuff while the other guys sit in a room looking at statistics. So, admittedly, there are some silver linings for Yuki. Here we go. We are on the final lap of this race, of course. As we said before, Joe Rudinsky, critical for him to finish ahead of Bob Massey. Looks like they've been told you're free to fight. No risk, no risk. but you're free to fight. Weaving on the straight by Bob Massey. Is this going to come to blows at the end? It potentially is. I don't think Bob Massey is aware of how critical it is for Joe Rudinsky to finish on pole position, who, by the way, started way down the back of the grid. It's been a wonderful drive back from Joe Rudinsky, but this may not be happening here at the Mad Turtle race. They are set to seal the team's title with a P1 and P2 finish in the final round of Group B, but Bob Massey may have ended up being the blocker here for Joe Rudinsky, yet no change as they come through the final corner. The checkered flag is out. It's going to be very close to the line. Oh my goodness, they've been told to race to the end. There's barely anything in it between the two of them, but RPM will win the race. And for the second race in the row, takes the top honors, the second time only in the entire championship that a lower division driver has finished above the entire field on the grid. Calculated Risk comes home third. I don't think he's going to have enough to finish on the top spot there either for Pro-Am category. Jack Finch wins the AM class title with that position he's got there. Jeff Bruin in fourth, a good result for him. Legendary Berry, where is Mark Hasel1? This is so critical. He's still behind Aussie GTR, Troy Britnell, our pole position guy. Oh, and he's run out of fuel as well. This is a disaster for Mark Hasel1. No fuel on board. He's completely botched the strategy today. Where is Blue Dog? He's way down the field, so I don't think that's going to be a change of position. He's actually finished the race as well.
Flag. Yeah.
Yeah, so 10th place confirmed for Mark Hasel1, but the question's going to be, has he cost himself points enough to lose the Pro-Am title? It's entirely possible he has. I said he needed to finish up in P9, P8. That may not be the case. We'll get the abacus out with Joe Rudinsky finishing in second. That could be enough for Mark Hasel1 to hold on. And photo opportunity for the cars there for Mad Turtle. I've no idea where this has landed. We'll have a look at our results for the race, talk about driver of the day, and then at that point, I believe we'll be fed the final standings for Group B. My abacus cannot keep up. My supercomputer cannot keep up with this. It is totally up in the air, and I think there's only going to be a couple of points between them at the end. A three-way battle for the Pro-Am title. Joe Rudinsky wins the race. 35 points for Pro-Am, not overall winner. That goes to Bob Massey. Marcel Alberton in second place, 30 points to his name. Jeff Bruin, 26. Hayden Jones in fourth position on 24 points, critically ahead of Mark Hasel1, who only takes home 22 points. That is a 13-point switch between Mark Hasel1 and Joe Rudinsky, and a 8-point switch between Marcel Alberton and Mark Hasel1. And this is going to be close. Blake Williamson for Hooncorp Esports, not the position he wanted to finish in. That spin at Forest Elbow. He could have been up there today. He could have been up there, and Hooncorp Esports may be looking back at this race and going, what if? Richard Robinson for Aster Racing finishes in seventh, and of course Mitchell Collin not racing today in the Pro-Am category. Let's take a look at our AM class results and see what's happened over there. Bob Massey, of course, taking home 42 points for both himself and Mad Turtle Racing. Not enough to put himself up ahead of anyone, unfortunately, in the final AM class standings. That's the battle between Jack Finch and Chip Berry, which has gone close to the wire, but with Jack Finch ahead, nothing that Chip Berry can do there. And Jack Finch, I think, mathematically, puts himself in for an AM class win. Chip Berry third place. Troy Britnell, the fall from grace today, but what a qualifying he had. Fourth position for him. Mark Hogan in fifth, followed by Graham Splint. And unfortunately not seeing Blake Durston for CP Motorsports or Ben Blaker, who's been absent for a number of races, unfortunately, for Hasel1 Motorsport. Right, John, let's quickly talk driver of the day here. And then let's get to our results for the final standings of the season. They're being calculated in the background right now. Your thoughts on driver of the day? All right, relegation. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Relegation is inevitable, Mr. Anderson, and you will be there for some time, I believe. No, to be honest, I can't actually blame you on this one. The Mad Turtle guys today, absolutely on top of things. That is the race they needed. That is the race they executed. I mean, Joe Rudinsky coming from way back in the bottom of the grid to finish in second place, nearly second. I hope he wasn't holding back, because I think he really did need that win today to put himself up into the Pro-Am title, which again, he's led for most of the season until Mark Hasel1 had a resurgence late in the season. So I don't know. I hope he wasn't holding back. He should have taken that position. It nearly happened across the checkered flag with a bad run for Bob Massey out of the final quarter, but I'm in complete agreement with you. I can't put this one against your negative value against it. I think 100% Bob Massey and Joe Rudinsky, drivers of the day in both categories. Massive congratulations, and I think Mad Turtle have probably done enough today to take it. What a run they've had. Right, now let us know in chat who your driver of the day is. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage of both Group A and Group B. We know who the victors are in the Elite and the Pro category. It's Gopi Mahinajit and Matt McCullum, but we don't know who has taken the Pro-Am and Am title. I think we're going to start with the one that we know. Let's start with the Am title, John. So let's bring it up. Jack Finch. There we go. And this is no surprise here at all. Actually, one little thing there is probably Mark Hogan, but Jack Finch, what a season he's had. It's been consistent enough all the way through the season. He's had his ups and downs, but certainly had the consistency all the way through the season. So he will take a Hooncorp Esports P1 there for Am class. Well done to him. Black Rose Racing in second with Chip Berry on 301 points. And then Mark Hogan takes the top, the remaining position, I should say, on the podium for the overall season. So well done to him and Aster Racing on that. 7 points clear of Troy Britnell. What could have been today if Troy Britnell hadn't had that accident? It might have been enough points difference between him and Mark Hogan to take third position, but Troy can certainly take that number of points home and feel happy about that. What a honourable mention that will be for him. That is our Am class. Let's bring up Pro-Am. I think this is going to be close. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It's 2 points separated. It's 2 points separate. I told you, I said it, I called it. Joe Rudinsky needed the win today. He needed the win today. That would have put him potentially on the top spot, and it would have been equal 290 points between each of them. And I think the calculation then comes down to number of race wins. I'm not even sure what happens in that scenario, but there is 1 point between Hasel1 Alberton and another 1 point between him and Joe Rudinsky. That is unbelievable. And I think Mad Turtle may well have cost Joe Rudinsky a Pro-Am title today. That I'm sure will be up for discussion. There may be some small details in the rule set that may have changed that regardless. But it is Mark Hasel1. Despite the poor finish today in 10th place and running out of fuel, it was still enough somehow to be 1 point ahead of Marcel Alberton for Black Rose Racing, who put on a great show today. But had he been one position above, Marcel Alberton would be our Pro-Am champion. Had Joe Rudinsky won the race, I think he would have been the Pro-Am champion. That is an unbelievable finish to see on the screen there. That is unbelievable. Well, I should say congratulations to Mark Hasel1 for winning the Pro-Am category. Well done. You've done it by the skin of your teeth, mate, but that is impressive nonetheless. Marcel Alberton on 289 points in second position and Joe Rudinsky in third. That is absolutely what we expect from Group B. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff, and I'm absolutely blown away. What a season it's been. We've said Group B always brings the entertainment value. The top three separated by 2 points at the end of the season, and Joe Rudinsky, robbed by his teammate, will be the headline in the Mad Turtle Racing. The Mad Turtle will certainly be mad after that. The mountain at Bathurst not being particularly kind to the Mad Turtle this week, George. But what a season. Some really worthy winners up at the top of all of the standings.
Indeed. So we'll put the results off the screen. We've got the team's title results now to announce as well. The math has been done, and it is Mad Turtle Racing. They did enough throughout the season. That is so impressive against what has been probably the strongest field that Hooncorp have ever fielded. They've got incredible drivers in there. Jack Finch, Luke Stone, Blake Williamson, and Guy Barbara, formerly Lewis Atkinson, before his unfortunate in real life BMX accident that saw him in hospital, and we still wish him a speedy recovery, of course. But 1,056 points to Mad Turtle Racing. In second place is Hooncorp Esports on 1,023 points. 23 points separating them. Now, if we'd seen Hooncorp Esports take a clean sweep today, that would have been their championship, 100%. But I guess a number of... it comes down to the consistency. Mad Turtle have had consistent results across all 4 of their drivers. Hooncorp have been succeeding mostly in the elite and the pro category. And yes, they've had Jack Finch bringing things up as well. So it really has been their elite driver and their AM class driver mostly holding the scenario down. And a mixture of results, unfortunately, in the Pro-Am has probably cost them a little bit here. But nonetheless, Hooncorp Esports are very, very well done second place there. Black Rose Racing is third position. They have just absolutely launched themselves into the second half of this season and managed to keep 898 points to their name. They are 20 points clear of Gridline Racing, who had some good results again in the final part of this race. But that, honestly, for me, if Gopi Mahindajit was racing in this round, which, you know, by all accounts he should have been, I'm not sure why he was not able to make it to the final round. Had they had Gopi Mahindajit's points, Gridline Racing would have been third in the team's title. By my calculations, there would have been enough points to keep them ahead of Black Rose Racing. So Black Rose Racing pick up third place, Gridline Racing fourth, and Aster Racing only just behind them on 868 points, then Lightning Motorsport, CP Motorsports, and Hasel1 Motorsports. So that is your team's title at the end of the season. Some really interesting results, some controversies, and some drama at the end of this season as well. But regardless of that, it is time for the off-season. It is time to take a deep breath, get yourselves a good holiday over Christmas, and get yourself prepared for a 2026 season of MotorMotion E-Series racing. So just recall all the good things. It's been a wonderful season of racing. And John, you've been here for the vast majority of it as well. Let's talk about this season. And after that, I've got a statement from the MotorMotion E-Series admin for me to relay.
Yeah, I mean, it has been absolutely stellar stuff. As you say, the elite drivers living up to the title. As well as the pros as well. They have put on some incredible shows. The strategies, the overtakes, has been an absolute barn burner. And then you've got the always entertaining Group B. It is what we know, it is what we love, it is what we do. It's a similar driving to ourselves. And an incredible calendar as well. Le Mans, Monza, Brands Hatch, Nürburgring, Spa, Interlagos, Watkins Glen, Daytona, Autopolis, and Mount Panorama. See all the real tracks being represented. The battles that have been out there have been absolutely phenomenal, and of course getting the likes of yourself, Nick and Ando in the commentary box as well. The only difficult thing about doing this job on the tools in the background is trying not to get lost in the entertainment value of the broadcast itself when I'm supposed to be running it in the background. It's it's been absolutely incredible, and an absolute pleasure to be involved, and cannot wait to see how this league evolves in future. As George said, get yourself signed up and get yourself involved. What an organisation it is, George.
Absolutely, and a big thanks to yourself, John Wright, for not only being in the commentary box late at night, but also being on the tools and bringing us the camera angles that we knew we needed, but didn't expect to get. So it has been a fantastic job that you've done in the background as well. Thanks to all the commentators that have jumped in from TrackSpot TV. Remember, go check us out on www.trackspot.tv for all your broadcasting commentary needs. And if you want to join the team, if you think you're up to snuff, if you've got a gift of the gab, or if you're gifted with the cameras, come and get signed up as well. Sign-ups are on the website. A massive thanks to our primary sponsor of the season, Player1 Sim Gear, for all your simulated racing hardware needs. They, of course, are Australian-owned and operated. They have a huge selection of sim gear, not just sim racing, but sim mowing your lawns, sim washing your house, sim having a bath, sim whatever you can possibly imagine, especially those flight simulators. Go and check them out, of course, on www.p1simgear.com.au. A massive thanks to them for sponsoring the GT3 Championship Season 3. And of course, a massive thanks to MotorMotion E-Series as well. What a season of racing they've put on. As always, this GT3 Championship has evolved over the last 3 seasons into what you've seen in this year. And of course, it's set to get better in years to come. So make sure you stay tuned. And of course, go check them out on www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com for all the final results and standings across all of the series of racing this year, the Carrera Cup, the Manufacturer Masters, the TCR Cup, and of course, the GT3 Championship. We now come to the last part of today's broadcast and a statement from MotorMotion E-Series admin, specifically Jeff Bruin, who has been arranging and organizing and, of course, is in charge of the GT3 Championship. And he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible conclusion to what has been, without a doubt, our most competitive and thrilling season yet. As we close the curtain on this chapter of the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship, I want to take a moment to express profound gratitude to everyone who contributed to its success. To our magnificent drivers, thank you. Your commitment, sportsmanship, and incredible skill on track have provided us with a spectacular wheel-to-wheel action every single week. From the nail-biting finishes in the Pro-Am battle to the strategic masterclass in the Elite Division, your dedication to great driving is the heart of this series. To our diligent admin team, you are the unsung heroes of MotorMotion. Your tireless efforts behind the scenes, managing registrations, overseeing the cost cap system, processing contracts, and ensuring the rules were applied fairly, made this series run like clockwork. Thank you for your dedication. To our superb broadcasters and commentary team, thank you for bringing the action to life. Your stellar commentary has elevated every race, providing expert insight and infectious passion that keep our viewers on the edge of their seats, whether they were watching the first lap or the final corner. And finally, to our valued sponsors, your support is absolutely vital. It allows us to grow the MotorMotion E-Series, enhance the viewing experience, and provide a world-class platform for sim racing talent. We deeply appreciate your belief in our community. We look forward to celebrating all of our champions and division winners in the off-season. Until then, thank you again for a phenomenal season, and we can't wait to see you back on track for the next championship." And I think, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't summarize it better myself. We will leave it with that. Thank you so much for tuning in all season long. This is the end now of Season 3, and of course the end of the MotorMotion series of racing in 2025. We hope you've enjoyed. Take care out there. Have a fantastic Christmas break, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.